JaMarcus Russell holds the crown of the biggest draft bust in NFL history. As a prospect out of LSU, he looked like a video game creative player. Standing at 6'6" and weighing 265 pounds, JaMarcus Russell combined unheard size with the ability to scramble and a generational arm that is still talked about today as a measuring stick of throw power. He was selected first overall in the 2007 NFL Draft by the Oakland Raiders to be the savior of the franchise, with Al Davis falling in love and preferring him to Calvin Johnson, who reportedly was the player that head coach Lane Kiffin wanted at the time. It was a quick downward spiral for JaMarcus Russell, from not showing up to his first rookie training camp and holding out for a better rookie contract to ending up finishing his rookie season with only 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. In his final 2 years in the NFL, JaMarcus Russell struggled with his weight, ballooning up to over 300 pounds. He had a drug addiction and was famously uninterested in learning the playbook and ultimately being a professional athlete. Before his release in 2010, JaMarcus Russell finished his Raider career with a 7-8 record, 4,800 yards, and a 18 touchdown to 23 interceptions. The sad part of it all is that JaMarcus Russell never stood a chance. He was drafted by a near senile owner who disregarded all the red flags that needed to be addressed in favor for his freakish talents. His head coach was incredibly out of depth in the NFL, and by all accounts, not a player's coach. And the roster in Oakland didn't have a mentor in place that JaMarcus Russell so obviously needed. Let's do a do-over. A career revival, if you will. What if JaMarcus Russell went to a place where he could have succeeded? What if JaMarcus Russell got paired with one of the greatest player coaches of all time? What if JaMarcus Russell had a mentor who could have showed him the habits of being a successful franchise quarterback and a roster of all-time leaders who could show him the standard of a winning franchise? 2006, after a disappointing early exit in the playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens were at a crossroads. An elite roster capable of competing for a Super Bowl, but with an aging Steve McNair at quarterback, they needed to find his successor. Eventually, they waited until the 2008 NFL Draft to select Joe Flacco as their next franchise quarterback, but what if instead their Hall of Fame GM Ozzie Newsome fell in love with another big-armed quarterback, except this time it is in the 2007 NFL Draft. This is the career revival of JaMarcus Russell. We are now here, through the power of Madden 25 and modded franchise modes, at the 2007 NFL Draft. Now, there is no starting point for this 06-07 turn. I had to straight up start at 02 and then draft and acquire every single player over the next 4 years that the Ravens actually got, which, I'm gonna be honest, took me forever. If you like the sound of this series, fellas, all I ask from return is, hit the old like button. Help the channel, help this video, help this potential new series with the YouTube algorithm. And not only that, let me know in the comment section below which bust do you want to see a career revival for? Not only that, maybe even throw what team you think would have been a better landing spot for said bust, and maybe we'll be. And when you look at the top, when you look at really anything here, it makes a whole lot of sense. Joe Thomas goes to the Bengals. Calvin Johnson, Megatron, is a Green Bay Packer. Adrian Peterson lands up on the Bucks. Darrelle Revis ends up on the Rams. See, with these reimagined draft classes, resetting and completely retooling the history of the NFL, the AI is smart. They are taking and overdrafting the best of the best. Honestly, very surprised that a Patrick Willis fell all the way to pick 18. Very surprised that a Marshawn Lynch beast mode fell all the way to pick 27. But in this scenario, I believe if you properly scouted JaMarcus Russell, this would have been the range he would have gone on. With the red flags, with understanding he needs a damn near perfect situation to end up in, we have that situation here in Baltimore. And I can tell you, as soon as we make this move, as general manager, as controlling this new career revival rebuild, I'd be saying, Mr. Steve McNair, you need to get on a plane to wherever this draft was held, and from this moment on until you are retired, you are going to be mentoring. I'm not going to say babysitting, but I'm almost going to be saying you are babysitting JaMarcus Russell. He is the franchise, but he needs a lot of work. Ends up being number 40 in true value, which I think is reasonable. Look at the draft that we have right now in real life, right? This is Shedeur Sanders in a way, where if you look at true value, pound for pound, regardless of positional value, where is Shedeur Sanders? Will he get drafted in the top 5, top 10? It could be that way, but is he really a top 10 player? Absolutely not. I think this is probably fair for JaMarcus Russell in that draft. He had the traits. He had the tools. 99 throw power. He had 88 jumping. Decent enough athlete. But there's so much else that needed work. You just can't compare him to the Joe Thomases, the Megatrons, the Darrelle Revises of this time. But we got ourselves a franchise quarterback. A big bummer for this is I also would love to try to recoup talent that the Baltimore Ravens actually got in this draft. Unfortunately, as you can see at pick 47, Marshall Yanda was the big get. Even Jacoby Jones I would have been able to live with, and they go one after another. So it's going to be a different Ravens team from here on out. So taking a look at our 2007 draft recap. Going to be honest, into day 3, if you had a player portrait and you were at a position that we needed depth at, I was going to bring you in. We got ourselves a new kicker in Nick Folk. DeVito's a scheme fit. For Gaither, he's our only real Ravens pick from this class. He was a 5th-round supplementary pick by the Ravens this year. And I mean, in the case of Marshall Yanda and going forward, if there's a really good Ravens player, I'm going to try and make it happen. But I'm not going to necessarily cheese and game the system and like trade up aggressively every single time there's a big notable Raven, or else I would have done that for Marshall Yanda, who was a 3rd-round pick. And I thought comfortably at pick 28 he would still be there. But as we go throughout history, these NFL GMs and scouts have realistic information to go off apparently, and all the good players go very early and often. So we're able to still end up with Brent Selleck, 72 overall, who'll be great depth behind Todd Heap. We got Paul Soliai, who is immense for what we need going forward. We need nose tackle help, get some youth there. So that is where we bring him in. And then JaMarcus Russell. It was very difficult to come up with a rating for JaMarcus Russell. And I flip-flopped multiple times. I think I started as a 65 normal dev, which is lower than what I don't want to spoil if you guys use these classes from the mod server. He's like good. He's better than this, what I have right now, if you're just going default off of these mods. But I was like, well, it's JaMarcus Russell. He's a bust, right? But then I was like, well, we got to kind of balance it out a little bit. Because like when JaMarcus Russell, if he was accurately rated, he probably would still pull a dev trait. The amount of hype that he had at 6'6", 265 with a generational arm, they're giving him at least a dev trait. Now, I'm not going to spoil what this dev trait is, but you could probably assume that we're going with the most challenging dev trait of them all. And finding a good rating for JaMarcus Russell was weird. And I thought the fairest thing to do at the time was like, well, let's look at what JaMarcus Russell was as a rookie in Madden 08. What was his rookie rating? Well, he was an 82 overall. So that wasn't going to do. There's going to be no challenge in that. And I imagine if he was 82 overall, if dev traits existed back then, he'd probably be a superstar. So I was like, okay, how about this? How about we take the average between that and what his final rating was in Madden on the Raiders before he got released in 2010. All right, so I looked at the Madden 11 and Madden 10 rosters, and he was still a 72 overall. They're giving him a chance. At no point did they completely nuke JaMarcus Russell. And now I don't have the free, if he was like when he was a free agent and rotting away in free agency, I don't have those ratings available to me, so I had to go the last time he was rosterable. I was like, let's make it a little more difficult. So what I did is essentially combined the ratings from his first rookie season, his last rookie season, and came up with like 68 feels like a good spot. Feels like that's probably where realistically JaMarcus Russell should have been viewed and graded as a rookie. We got a long ways to go, but I think it sets ourselves up that as long as he's not butt cheeks, as long as he puts in the work, as long as he listens to McNair and Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, we could be going places. For the division, also just worth noting, Joe Thomas just can't get out of the AFC North. They also got Joe Staley. So that is a gigantic upgrade in the trenches for the Bengals. The Browns continue to be the Browns. Look at those ratings. And all things considered, Steelers, a very, very poor draft from them as well. All right, now don't judge me. In my life, I've got gold medal on this drill. Oh. 5 times out of, I don't know, 60. So if I could get a gold here with JaMarcus Russell, it might be honestly one of the best pieces of game footage, game tape that I've ever put up on the channel, okay? Because I refuse to believe that if you consistently get gold medal on this, you're not hacking, okay? Now also, I know a lot of people, you can like fine tune some of the passing settings. I don't do that. I could probably min-max it a little bit. Boom! Well, JaMarcus Russell's can of an art. Man, he feels smooth back here, dude. Oh, yeah, there you go. There we go. There's the first botch. Oh, luckily we didn't. We avoid getting sacked, so we keep the multiplier going. Boom! Just throw it right there. Point blank. Flames coming off of it. Boom! Oh, man, we got to get at least silver. Look at all these balls coming at me. Bonnie Blue pass rush drill. God damn it. I'll take the silver. So I think we start this how it should have realistically started for JaMarcus Russell. Have a veteran start, and then we'll see where you're at maybe mid-season. If the team's looking like we're going on a playoff run, this is the final year of Steve McNair's career in Baltimore at minimum. He's in the last year of his contract. We're not going to extend him. I have every intention of just let's let JaMarcus take all the pressure off, get your mind right, acclimate yourself to the NFL, give him a little bit of the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love situation. I think that would be absolute best. Now, if we're butt cheeks and it's looking like week 14, no chance of playoffs, maybe we could be tempted to play JaMarcus Russell. But my plan is at least right now to redshirt him for his rookie season. So at our bye week, our team's looking very, very dominant. The not so amazing is our pass offense, which, you know, we're going with slow burn. We're going with the reliable hand right now and win as much as we can and ease things in. We have a player of the week performance into the bye, Bart Scott with 2 picks. We have such a good and reliable defense, but they're getting old. Some of these, you know, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Trevor Price, their best football is getting behind them. So there is, you know, risk reward versus just completely, you know, tossing in the towel on JaMarcus Russell playing this rookie campaign. Is like, well, we're losing that year of starting development for him, so that it's going to take, you know, 1 extra year for him to likely develop into the quarterback that we need to win, that we need to hitch that wagon to carry us to a Super Bowl. And our team's old; they can't really wait like that. So it's an interesting balance. Looking at our free agents here, oh man. I mean, I'd love to keep Derek Mason. That's just 3 years. You're old. So the good news is at least JaMarcus is developing on the sidelines, slowly but surely. Strong arm quarterback. He's actually very close to getting another upgrade here. But really what we want, I want to see that awareness. He had 58 awareness. We need to bring that up to at least, you know, 65, ideally 70 before he's a starter. Every upgrade, we need to be getting +1, +2 awareness. You know what? I'm actually going to bring back Steve McNair on a 1 year. He's still going to have the mentorship tag. So if he doesn't retire, good backup to have. And I'm also going to bring back Derek Mason on a 1-year deal. I've overpaid severely, but I think having that veteran presence out there with Todd Heap as pass catchers for year 1 of JaMarcus as a starter is very important. Damn, another couple upgrades for JaMarcus. Learning. Huge boost having that mentorship XP gain by having Steve McNair there, but we haven't been able to roll awareness, which isn't helping because you need that for the sim. Ooh, late season, probably our last, maybe if we go on a playoff run, but probably our final upgrade. If he finishes 74, 75, it's going to be huge, and we get that +2 awareness here late season. The Baltimore Ravens, they're good. 12-5 good, led by our 93 overall defense. Our rankings, you're seeing what would be the issue. What's the question? Okay, quarterback, not necessarily playing up to the standard of everybody else, but still very good. Looking at our stats this year, Steve McNair, just under 4,000 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 7 picks. Interesting. Willis McGahee, 1,100 yards, which was 3rd in the league, 15 touchdowns. So a run game on point. Had 2,000-yard receivers, both Derek Mason and Mark Clayton hitting that mark. Probably want to see a little bit more production out of almost a 99 overall tight end, Todd Heap. Ray Lewis goes over 100 total tackles. We get 20 sacks from Trevor Price, 12 from T-Sizzle, 9 from a Haloti Nata. And in the secondary, we get 4 picks, Chris McAllister, 3 from the legendary Ed Reed. Trevor Price bringing home some hardware. Not only does he get D-Lineman of the Year, he outright wins Defensive Player of the Year. He was an absolute beast, man. Underrated player when you look back at those early 2000s on the defensive line. For the first round of the playoffs, we get a very, very tough draw in the Kansas City Chiefs. Alex Smith, they got Tony Gonzalez, somehow, someway. Sean Taylor The late great is there, and we unfortunately crash and burn 28-17. Not a particularly good game by both our offense and defense. Defense can't allow Alex Smith to have that kind of game, and Steve McNair with the turnover. It's unfortunate. They took away our run game, which is huge for them. Derek Mason, ageless wonder, who's coming back on a 1 year as long as he doesn't retire. I love seeing him and Todd Heap put that type of game together. But on the defensive side, I mean, yeah, just it's ready for a new era here in Baltimore. Luckily, the Steelers lose in the Super Bowl, so we have to live with that success in our own division as we start this rebuild. And McNair and Mason, who both are certainly in the discussion of like they could retire at any moment, we only end up losing Mike Flynn, who still was our starting center. At the end of the season, we do get one last upgrade for JaMarcus, and that is what we want to see. Another +2 awareness. He ends his campaign 75. Slow burn, far from the 82 that he had in real life. But a 75 earned organically by just grinding every single week. No pressure to be a starter, but also maintaining that you got to stay locked in. None of the off-the-field stuff. This is going to work out, I think. So looking at our dev traits as we close out the season, Todd Heap loses his superstar. Willis McGahee gains his X Factor. And he did everything we asked. JaMarcus Russell is going to be our starter, still having Steve McNair there as a mentor. Defensively, we get Trevor Pryce after winning Defensive Player of the Year. He is now a superstar. But everybody else's dev traits stay the same, which rightfully so. Some of these guys are getting older. They could have harshly regressed. Luckily, we still good. We're ready. We're locked in for 2008. This 08 draft was a weird one for the context of this rebuild in relation to what the Ravens did in real life. They drafted Joe Flacco, which I explained in the intro. Like, well, we went a year early for that big arm quarterback. There are honestly a lot of similarities between Joe Flacco's strengths and JaMarcus Russell's strengths at the time. They also got Ray Rice this year, who, as a player on the football field, awesome player. Off the field, you know what happened there. But for our roster, we have prime Willis McGahee. I do not need to be investing at a running back, especially at the price point of Ray Rice going at this draft. Look at this class of players who actually spent time with the Ravens. You have Jeremy Zuda, who at guard could be an interesting fit for us. Made a Pro Bowl as a member of the Baltimore Ravens. Bounced around a couple different teams. On the defensive side of the ball, you have Calais Campbell, who, played for a bunch of teams across, but he had, I think, 2-3 years with the Baltimore Ravens. He could be a, successor to Trevor Pryce, 33 years old, coming off a Defensive Player of the Year award. That could be cool. Or we could just straight up look elsewhere. I think wide receiver is a big need. And when you look at wide receiver, someone like a Jordy Nelson being on the board certainly seems very interesting. So we will see what the board gives us, and I think we're going to make a splash move. So at pick number 24, unfortunately, Calais Campbell, who I'm pretty sure would have been my pick, goes 2 picks earlier to the Carolina Panthers. So we kind of have to deal with what we got here. And looking, we got Run DMC, John. So good running backs, don't need running backs. Jordy Nelson on the board. I'm very interested there. I wonder if there's a way that we can get Zuda in the second round. So we can at least land like somebody that's and was an actual member of this squad. I mean, when you look at our team on the defensive side of the ball, I'm fairly, I like our front three. Our pass rushers are great. Inside, that's where you could probably make an argument. Like Ray Lewis is getting up there in age a little bit. Someone like Curtis Lofton, he played some good football in his career. Tavares Good and T. Good from the 7th floor crew of Miami. He actually was a pick of the Ravens, so like maybe that's something we could, potentially explore there a little bit. Corner, you got Mike Jenkins, Tracy Porter, Brandon Flash. So some decent corners still on the board. A little bit later on in the draft if we wanted to wait. Brandon Carr was a pretty decent Raven. Once upon a time, I believe he played well enough for the Ravens. He got a bag from the Dallas Cowboys. So maybe that's something we could consider in the 2nd or 3rd round. We're good at safety. So I'm thinking honestly here, JaMarcus Russell, got to build around him. Jordy Nelson on the board. A release, B catching, B deep route running. Combine, not the best, but we will bring in an exciting white for this offense. 18th in true value at pick 24 with a dev trait, and is going to potentially be our long-term duo with JaMarcus Russell. This worked out pretty well. Jeremy Zuda, who played guard and center. We got to replace our starting center, is still on the board. Former Pro Bowler of the Baltimore Ravens ends up being number 30 in true value at pick 36 Fortunately, no dev trait, but the rating should be fairly solid, like mid-70s. This has worked out very, very well, as we are able now in the 3rd round to get another very successful Baltimore Raven in Brandon Carr, who's number 51 in true value at pick 88, and he pops with a dev trait. And if you're watching Pig Slips, you know this man. He's not the lawman. He just enforced it. We don't need Ray Rice. If we're going to get a running back this year, we're bringing a guy who also had his best seasons with the Baltimore Ravens, the lawman. So taking a look at our draft recap, got lots of really, really solid depth. Pretty much all these guys are depth where we needed depth. We might only have one player at a given position. Brandon Carr is probably the one luxury pick, I think. But Shamari Roll's also not getting any younger. We do have a couple good bodies there at corner. Forsett 69 with a dev trait. A couple guys in the high 60s, which is great. Zuta, don't know if he's going to be a guard or center. Likely going to probably be a center for us. But very happy to bring in Jordy Nelson. Got the dev trait. He's going to be able to learn under, Derek Mason has a mentorship tag again. So very similar relationship to what we have with McNair and JaMarcus Russell. It's going to just help with the development and get Jordy Nelson ready to be our wide receiver 1 sooner than later. As we kick off the 2008 season, year 2 of this rebuild, JaMarcus Russell is going to be our starting quarterback. And what better opponent? Week 1. First NFL start on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's hop in and see how he does in a battle, his first battle against Big Ben. There we go, against the great Ben Roethlisberger, Troy Polamalu, Joey Porter. It is time to go on the road. It's Heinz Field. It's still Heinz Field for me, damn it. And to make absolute history, monumental history, the debut of JaMarcus Russell. Prove you're not a bust. Prove you're something special. Prove you're a franchise quarterback. So on the opening drive, the Pittsburgh Steelers able to march down the field. But how we're going to respond here. On the road. Well. Okay. Growing pains. Nice. The strength of JaMarcus Russell, which is at 99 throw power. We have 0 speed on offense. Like, who's getting this ball? Second drive, let's still, looking for our first completion. Here we go. Oh, Mark Clayton. Pound the rock. I mean, this offense is built to succeed around knowing JaMarcus Russell's a work in progress. We are very much a team that's built to run the football. Offensive line, pretty strong. Our star player on offense, far and away right now, is Willis McGahee. Has his X Factor enabled. But we want to play off of that. We got to get confidence for JaMarcus Russell. Can't just say, we're just going to run the football all the time. Let's go, Brett Selleck. You got to get his confidence up. And you don't do that by handing the football off 40 times a game. Ooh, double slants. Risky throw here. But when you get a cannon of an arm, like he has, tight windows, boom! Oh, tight windows aren't a problem. What about Todd Heap? Todd Heap, Jordy Nelson, top of the screen. Let's go, Todd. And there is the first of hopefully many as we play through the entire career of JaMarcus Russell. Now, the positive of what we have here with a bunch of slow guys is that they should make JaMarcus's life relatively easy because they can get open. Oh, look at that. Easy does it, and we are tied at 14 on the road to the 4th quarter. Let's go, McGahee. First big run of the game. Oh, he's on his feet! Ah! Oh! Boom. It's almost like they let us score. They knew it. Oh, they missed the extra point. Let's get it. Here we go. Classic JaMarcus Russell fashion. How did you win your first career game? Oh, the Steelers missed, shanked an extra point. We win 21-20 on the road. Huge divisional win. Not crazy yards. I think we had like 160 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But a win in his first start. Great start on the road to redemption. So the midway point of our year 2, 2008 season, 5-3, hot start for the Baltimore Ravens. Even though we are on a 2-game lose streak, we got to bounce out of that. $175 million of available salary cap that we have to operate with. I do think, both Mason and McNair have done their job. I'll offer a 1-year extension to McNair if he wants to return. And let's do everything in our power for him to retire a Baltimore Ravens. Samari roll. Still decent. Getting up there in age a little bit. We don't have a sure successor, so we'll bring him back for 1 more year. Got the legendary John Ogden back on a 2-year deal. He has to retire a Raven. Got current starting tackle Adam Terry back on a 3-year deal. Serviceable. We'll bring Chris McAllister back on a 1-year deal. He's one of the most bizarre corners that I remember. I remember when I was a kid, he was always the highest rated corner in Madden for 2 years, and then it was just in a blink of an eye, Sean Alexander. He was just out of the league, and no one ever heard of him again. We're gonna bring back starting guard Jason Brown on a 2-year deal. He's a low 80s, solid. And I will say, all due respect to Mark Clayton, I think just it's a year that we need to retool the wide receiver room. $70 million. He's solid. He was a solid role player for the Baltimore Ravens back in the day, but I think ultimately for us, that's going to be our priority, retooling this wide receiver. We got Jordy Nelson, good. That's honestly what Mark Clayton, I think Jordy Nelson's going to play that slot role. We need speed on the outside now, and that's where we need to invest our picks and money. At the end of his first year as a starter, the Baltimore Ravens go 12-5, still chasing that title. I think this is going to be one of them rebuilds where, yes, you have the Browns that go 1-16, but I imagine that the Bengals, led by Carson Palmer, and the Steelers, led by Ben Roethlisberger, are going to be very competitive probably for the entirety of this rebuild. Look at our offense winners, the top 5 offense. Passing offense, it's not magically JaMarcus Russell is playing like an elite quarterback. And that's almost by design. Our team right now is built to run the football. We don't have a whole lot at wide receiver, with all due respect. And that's to take the pressure off JaMarcus Russell. You don't have to have JaMarcus Russell week in, week out, throw the ball to win games. I am a little worried that their defense is getting older and the rankings there are starting to slide just a little bit. Willis McGahee finishes the leading rusher in the NFL. JaMarcus Russell, 3,800 yards. You'd love to see that go over 4,000, but with how dominant our run game is, kind of makes sense. But 35 touchdowns is awesome. 70% completion percentage is awesome. JaMarcus Russell historically finished a season with 50% completion percentage, but I think he's still the worst of all time for a starting quarterback in the NFL. 11 picks. I'm not going to say it's a little high, but it is a little high versus where we probably would want JaMarcus Russell when he's in his prime. So plenty to work on, but plenty of positives as well. Running the ball, Willis McGahee, leading rusher in the NFL, almost 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns. I think we might be able to use JaMarcus a little bit more as a dual threat. Receiving, we get 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns from Mark Clayton. The rookie, Jordy Nelson, goes over 1,000 yards with 10 touchdowns. Derek Mason, the veteran, in his final season here, maybe his final season ever, could retire. 14 touchdowns. He's going on top. Still just not utilizing Todd Heap, which I think we're going to have to take note of that. I mean, there's going to come a point in time we need to decide, are we going to re-sign Todd Heap? He's probably going to be very expensive. Tight ends just aren't getting utilized right now in this current offense. No 100 tacklers, but Ray Lewis leads the team with 85. We get 11.5 sacks, T. Sizzle, 11 from Trevor Price, 8.5 from Haloti Nata, 4 picks, Bart Scott, a couple duos there. But generally speaking, not great seasons from Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Our lone award winner goes to Willis McGahee for winning running back of the year. I guess it does relate to this rebuild. Joe Flacco beats out Jordy Nelson for offensive rookie of the year. For the kind of season he had, JaMarcus Russell finishes the regular season with 4 skill points. That weekend to spend. Definitely an area, in my opinion, that can get nerfed for Madden 26 franchise mode. Should for getting 3,500 yards, he get 10,000 XP. Should for getting 30 passing touchdowns, he get 10,000 XP. I think rewarding players for meeting thresholds like that is great. That's a great element of player development. I think it could be halved. But the issue is if you start messing around and tinkering with the XP sliders, I find it's a hard balance to get it to work. And it'd be great if just overall, as a final release product, Madden 26 kind of balances out the XP just a little bit. But in this circumstance, I mean, we'll take it. 82 overall and counting for JaMarcus Russell. And we have his first playoff debut. 9-8 Jacksonville Jaguars, who have a top 10 passing offense, top 10 rushing defense, led by Phillip Rivers at quarterback. Interesting matchup here. Let's go. 35-21. Not only that, JaMarcus Russell throws 5 pass touchdowns in his playoff debut. An all-timer. That's exactly what we want to see. I wonder who went off, though, because we're going to have some turnover at wide receiver this year. It would be a little annoying to see it be like one of our big names. So Mark Clayton's walking, Jordy Nelson, Mason's there, Brent Selleck, Willis McGahee getting involved. Everyone got in the end zone here today. Next up is a battle from the AFC North in the division round. The 13-4 Bengals, who are very good. Number 1 defense in the NFL. Offense very good, led by Carson Palmer. Damn. I mean, it could have been worse. We could have lost clearly because of JaMarcus Russell. But we definitely did not get a whole lot of assistance from our pass game. Back to the drawing board. It's only year 1. And I think getting a playoff win and having JaMarcus go for 35 touchdowns and the growth and development that he had with the XP this year. Overall, good season. Could have been better, though. A couple of notable losses. Derek Mason will retire, a Baltimore Raven after 12 years. And a first ballot Hall of Famer in Jonathan Ogden retires after 13 years. So we now have to find... I was kind of going in, hoping this draft, all wide receiver. Now, you got to replace one of the greatest left tackles of all time. Now, for our roster, as far as dev traits go, Jordy Nelson started. He lost. Dang, that's, I don't want to say that's harsh. He had 1,000 yards as a rookie. He was a superstar. And he regressed down to a star dev for some reason. Would have rather that maybe go to Vontae Leach, but is what it is. Defensively, no, dude. So he loses the superstar on Price. I mean, he's getting up there in age a little bit. And then Ray Lewis at 34. I mean, he's 34. The double. X Factor, gone. Superstar, gone. Damn. We have so much money, and if I'm going to let, like, the Mark Clayton go, because I want to go speed in the draft, I had to do something offensive line. We're going to replace John Ogden. How about we replace him with another first ballot Hall of Famer, Orlando Pace, on a 1-year rental? This 2009 draft. I said we want speed at wide receiver. Well, some of the top wide receivers are going early. Michael Crabtree's going to be gone. Jeremy Maclin is going to be gone. This was the draft in real life. The Baltimore Ravens selected the blind side, Michael Orr. Would be kind of cool. Double revival opportunity. Darius Harry-Bay. We want speed. He absolutely was the fastest wide receiver in this class. Another classic out. Again, to go to the intro. Like, Raiders set to fail. Like, and then what do you get to help JaMarcus? You get a terrible pick in the first round. Like, Al Davis sabotaged JaMarcus. I firmly believe that. We're not going to have an opportunity to bring in the whole blind side here in Orr. Because, I mean, hypothetically, you have Ogden retire. We bring in Orlando Pace, clearly on a 1-year deal. He's 35. He's probably going to retire. Michael Orr would make sense if he was still on the board. But we're going to be selecting way down here at 26. I'll tell you right now, I'm not interested in Pariah Jerry. But there's some guys. I already know who I want. I have an idea. Go Gators. So at pick 26 in the first round of the 2009 NFL Draft. Looking, just kind of combing through the class of like who was like an interesting actual Raven. Now we missed an Orr. This is where Ladarius Webb came. He was a very serviceable corner. If he's there in the second round, maybe. Again, we might want to try to get a little bit younger at that corner spot. Chris McAllister's getting up there in age. Tamari Rolls getting up there in age. We do have Brandon Carr. I don't know if he'll still be on the board. Alternatively, I mean, looking at the other players that are available, we're gonna kind of use the same kind of house rules we use when we do like the 20-year rebuilds. We got to pick people like within the top 30, so we need to be looking for players in the top like 59. That's where we want to go. So we could reach for Malcolm Jenkins is there. That's interesting. You got Vollmer on the offensive line. But ultimately, we need wide receiver help. And a wide receiver that fits the profile that we want. An elite athlete. Scouted him top 5 true talent. That is Percy Harvin. Number 5, let's go. 96 acceleration, 95 speed. We pair that with Jordy Nelson long term. We have weapons for JaMarcus Russell in place for the foreseeable future. Damn, board got clean. Ladarius Webb went 44 to the Minnesota Vikings. Malcolm Jenkins, 49 to the Chargers. Ray Maluga, who would be maybe an interesting linebacker to bring in. potentially to succeed. Mr. Ray Lewis, he's off the board. So we now need to, back to the drawing board here a little bit. I think we go BPA. Jesus, there's not a lot of BP here. Terrence Knight, a nose tackle. Pot roast. Levy was solid for the Lions back in the day. God damn, fellas. Oh, I know. So this is the 2009. Does anyone want to give me a 2010 third round pick? So we're looking for this, a 2032 second rounder. Come on. 2032. Here we go. Thank you very much, Houston Texans. Take a look at our draft recap, headlined by Percy Harvin, coming in as a 77 overall, so not too different from what we had in Mr. Jordy Nelson last year. Outside of that, though, the board was pretty shot, so happy that we were able to kick our second-round pick for a future second-round pick, where maybe the board will be a little more plentiful. We finished with, a couple guys 60 kit. Donnell Ellerby, who I believe spent a minute with the Baltimore Ravens at linebacker, so it gives us a little bit of depth there. But ultimately, this is a very top-heavy class, headlined by Percy Harvin. And at about the midway point of year number 3 of the JaMarcus Russell career revival here in the 2009 season, we're 4-3, not running away with the league. We're coming off 2 straight wins, a big win here though, dumping 38 points on the Buffalo Bills with a player of the week performance from JaMarcus Russell. Not a lot of yards, but we'll take 4 touchdowns every day of the week. But you definitely are getting the vibe, and the Baltimore Ravens are getting older, so decisions are going to have to be made. We got almost $200 million salary cap, which is great, but I think Samara Roll needs to bounce. Orlando Pace was only ever a 1-year rental. Trevor Price could get younger for sure. I think someone like McAllister, who actually has the interest there, so I don't have to overpay, has the mentorship tag as well to help the young guys along. I think there's a lot of value there. Damn, man, there's a lot of guys. I think we paid McGahee and Nada, and then we see where we're at. So to bring back Willis McGahee on a 4-year deal, locking him in for the remainder of his prime. A 6-year, $130 million deal. Nata ain't going nowhere. We'll bring back Dwan Landry on a 3-year deal, lock him in for the rest of his prime. Can't let all the veterans walk. So Trevor Price still playing at a decently high level. He's 34, could retire, but we'll bring him back on a very expensive 1 year. He still can flirt with double-digit sacks, I think. And we will let Todd Heap and Bart Scott walk. But I feel like Orlando Pace, if he wants to run it back for 1 more year, why not? At the end of year 3, 11-6, our worst win total of the rebuild so far. However, it is our first divisional title, as we have a tiebreaker over the Cincinnati Bengals. I think we swept them in the regular season. The good news is our defense is back on top. Our run game's on point. The bad news is our pass yards are still not the best, but we're winning. So I don't really think we're in a situation where we fire the OC. 29 touchdowns, 7 picks for JaMarcus Russell. I mean, the good news, he's developing nicely. He's doing exactly what you need him to do. He's a scheme fit, 85 overall. Would like to see maybe better return on investment from our wide receivers we were drafting in the first round, and what their impact could bring to the offense. But as long as we got Willis McGahee and this offense and this O-line just pounding the rock and dominating there, can't complain too much. Percy Harvin, 900 yards, 8 touchdowns for his rookie campaign. 8-8 for Jordy Nelson. Not bad as well relative to really the whole offense as it relates to being a passing offense. Ray Lewis with a bunch of tackles, 3 picks, 17 sacks, Trevor Price. That's why we were signing for 1 year. 16.5 from Melody Nata, 12 from Terrell Suggs. One of the most dominant defenses in the NFL. Unfortunately, I did take a sneak peek. Didn't have a single award winner. We have to kick things off right here. Somehow the 8-9 Steelers made the playoffs, so we need to put them out of their misery here in the wildcard round and go on up. Run. 30-24. Double overtime loss. And I mean the passing touchdowns weren't there, but from a yard standpoint, that's where our yards were really bad. Toe-to-toe with Ben Roethlisberger. Our run game was arguably better. Percy Harvin, hell of a playoff debut kid. Santonio Holmes and Hines Ward had really, really big games on the defensive side of the ball. Neither team really played their best football. That's disappointing. Yeah, that is lost to Steve McNair. I mean, that was expected at any moment, but great mentor, did exactly what we needed him to do for JaMarcus Russell. Samari Roll, that's our corner 2. He's gone, and Trevor Price coming off a almost Defensive Player of the Year campaign. His second of the rebuild. He probably should have got it. Retires. Still could keep playing. I mean, hey, going on his own terms, I suppose. Good news, Orlando Pace is coming back. And more good news is, unlike Jordy Nelson the year prior, Percy Harvin is a superstar dev, and he did not get cannibalized by our limited passing offense and will at least enter his sophomore campaign as a superstar dev. For the Baltimore Ravens, we are going to accept the 5th-year option for JaMarcus Russell, just because. Still not sure. Especially worst passing offense. Like, let me see a little more before I guarantee a whole lot of money towards you. Take a look here at the 2010 draft. Our needs for the Ravens, we need a 3-4 defensive end, a middle linebacker that can play with Ray Lewis and eventually be the successor to Ray Lewis. Corner. Another wide receiver. Like, are we missing another wide receiver? Tight end. We have Selleck, but we could if there's an upsidey guy available. Looking at the board, that was... Well, let's just go down. Who are we projected to get? Linval Joseph. Who was the actual pick of the Ravens in 2010? They did not have a first-round pick. I don't know why. But this was the year they got Terrence Cody, Dennis Pitta at tight end. Ooh, okay. I can run it back with Dennis Pitta. A big 22 in the first round of the 2010 NFL Draft. As I said, our needs. Wide receiver, if there's just clearly BPA, which there are some absolute dudes, but you can make the argument that if we wait and you get someone good and then you can come back and get Emmanuel Sanders, probably not a gigantic discrepancy between the two. With all due respect, he got... Tight end's not an issue. It's a Dennis Pitta issue where it'd be like, all right, if we can get Dennis Pitta, would. But I mean, Selleck is an 80, still on his rookie contract. We have bigger fish to fry. Veld here would be interesting. Got Pouncey at center. We're actually good at center. Iopati at right guard. 3-4 defensive end. You have one here in Lamar Houston. Dunlap's a little light in the ass to be considered that. Linval Joseph. That's an all-out nose tackle. What about off-ball linebacker? Someone that's within the top 35 picks. 55. Oh, Navarro Bowman. That could... second round Navarro Bowman. Got Brandon Spikes was a beast at Florida. You got Sean Lee. Ooh. You could go Sean Lee. Let me just make sure. I'd say right now he's the leader. Free safety, what's our... Ed Reed successor and Earl Thomas? That would probably be BPA in this section. Oh, man. Some big names, but for our team, we need off-ball linebacker. There's no good 3-4 defensive end. We'll go Sean Lee. Great value pick, and he rolls with a dev trade. Now, the future second-round pick last year that we traded is pick 1 of the second round. So that's awesome. I think now it's like, all right, Orlando Pace, 1 year. Veldheer's there. Or, yeah, Earl Thomas makes a lot of sense. But then now there's going to be pressure that, like, when Ed Reed's contract comes up, what do we do? Well, I'm going to draft him because I feel like we could, having a third safety is never a problem because you could just double him up as, like, your nickel. And Earl Thomas absolutely could play nickel for us. So we'll do that. Well, there you go. Can't say we're not throwing enough resources at trying to make this passing offense work. We'll make it right. We'll bring in old Dennis Pitta, number 51 in true value at 86, and he has a dev trait, so a little more upside than Brent Selleck. For our draft, all in all, pretty happy with how all things kind of broke down here. We got Austin Lane, I think just got knocked out last week at UFC. Maybe he has a little bit better career here. Dennis Pitta, 71 with a dev trait. Emmanuel Sanders, 73 with a dev trait. Earl Thomas, 75 with a dev trait. Sean Lee, 74 with a dev trait. All heavy hitters, all expected to be big-time contributors. But more resources to the pass game. Can we figure it out Or is this going to be a scenario where we might have to have a tough decision with the old coordinator about bringing in someone else that can maximize the talent that we have? Last year's draft didn't really have a whole lot of other talent coming into the division, but this year's different story as the Steelers get Demaryius Thomas and Cam Chancellor. And the Browns bring in Eric Berry, blue chip player right there. Let's go to your number 4. This is really where I want to see the pass offense come together. It doesn't have to be elite, you know, especially if we're running the football at the tick that we have been this whole rebuild, but we can't be bottom last. We have too much invested into this passing offense. Too much uncertainty with whether or not JaMarcus Russell is ever going to be deserving of like a $300 million. You don't need a $300 million quarterback to hand the football off. But if he could be like Jalen Hurts, where maybe the passing yards are never great, but he can, 30 plus touchdowns, 35 touchdowns again like his rookie campaign. Now that is more in the area code of what I'm talking about. Defensively, with the additions of Sean Lee, who will start, Earl Thomas, obviously understudied. Ed Reed couldn't ask for a better understudy, better successor, but we will have Earl Thomas start in our nickel spot, so he'll be able to get on the field as a rookie and maximize those reps and get some extra XP. Yeah, midway point of year number 4. I think we might need to explore opening things up. Like, it's not you, it's me. It's one of those type of breakups where it's like, all right, we're running the football well, cool. But Willis McGahee is about at the end of his prime, and we have first-round pick in JaMarcus Russell, first-round pick in Jordy Nelson, first-round pick in Percy Harvin, and we're not utilizing them. So we need, if we go on and win a Super Bowl or something crazy like that, sure. All right, that's probably about the only thing that's going to have me not exploring our options as it relates to our offensive coordinator. Looking at the contract, $127 million. Hey, shout out to the fullback. Let's go. I mean, why not? We got so much money. We have Chris Chester at guard. Maybe 3-year, $32 million. Easy deal. Jason Brown, 3-year, $35 million. Easy. Keep those linemen together. We'll bring back Paul Soliai on a 3-year deal for the rest of his prime. Got a 1-year on Chris McAllister as long as he doesn't retire this offseason. Why not? Good depth. Same with Orlando Pace. You want to keep running it back for 1 year at a time? We're happy to have you. Not everyone's getting a payday. I think Jarrett Johnson looks for 3 years. That's a little steep for my liking. Selleck, with the addition of Dennis Pitta, kind of became surplus requirement. Good, bad passing offense. It's almost different. We're still finding ways to win. We finished a little bit better. Bottom 12, but it's not dead last. First in points. Oh my God, we can't fire. It's almost like we can't. They're making it almost impossible for us to be like, well, we're number 1 offense, but we're not winning the way we want to win. So therefore, it sucks. Our defense fell off a cliff though. 25th in points allowed. Willis McGahee, 2nd in rushing yards this year. Oh, excuse me. 37 touchdowns for JaMarcus. Who cares about the? That's literally what I said. If JaMarcus, don't care about the yards. Be cool, get over 4,000. It's kind of at the bottom threshold. But if we're getting 35 plus, okay, this OC coached his ass off this year. 14 and 13 McGahee. We got 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns for Percy Harvin, 11 and 9 for Jordy Nelson. Selleck was solid. Sanders was solid. This is the exact same offense. Now, it's not like this is unseen. Year 1 of JaMarcus starting was fairly similar. We had 2,000-yard receivers. He went over 30 touchdowns. Maybe last year was just a little bit of an outlier year. Ray Lewis over 100 tackles. We got 12.5 sacks. T. Sizzle, 7.5 from Haloti Ngata. 4 picks, the ageless wonder, Chris McAllister. 90 tackles, 3 picks for Sean Lee. 72 tackles, 3 picks for Earl Thomas. 3 picks for Ed Reed as well. Happy to see those guys all thriving. Lee and Thomas in the rookie campaigns especially. Everything you see the day. JaMarcus Russell makes the short list for MVP voting. Now, we all just need to disregard who the actual MVP is. Okay? Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Willis McGahee winning running back. That's our offense, okay? Buffalo has to throw the football 70 times with Joe Flacco to stand a chance, okay? JaMarcus, we just hand the ball off. Ever a fun time to see the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. Don't care what era, don't care. Well, our number 1 offense puts up 17 points. Man, I want a new OC, but I just can't. You can't have the number 1 regular season offense and You know what, though? Would be cool if he gets hired away. Number one offense, surely some team look for a head coach. Why not get the OC of the number one offense? Please. Getting a little worried anytime we get to the offseason. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, they're getting out there. Orlando Pace retires, so that now shuffles left tackle to the top of our priority this offseason. Going into the 2011 draft, we have to replace Orlando Pace at left tackle. Again, we want this offense to keep humming, to put JaMarcus Russell in the best position to continue to make plays. Therefore, I do think it is worth prioritizing that left tackle spot. But at 26, looking to get a big-time contract, I mean, he couldn't have asked for a better year to play like he did last season, and the optimism around JaMarcus Russell getting a second contract with the Baltimore Ravens, maybe even being a one-club player, finishing this whole rebuild with the Ravens, is very much on the table. I'd also like to get an edge rusher on either side, being an outside linebacker or someone that can play on the front three. The 2011 draft for the Ravens was a pretty good draft. Now, the needs of the Ravens in 2011 and the needs of our Ravens right now are a little bit different, because in this draft, Baltimore got Jimmy Smith in the first round. He was a hit. Torrey Smith in the second round. They got Pernell McPhee in the fifth. Tyrod Taylor in the sixth. It was, from top to bottom, you know, the beginning. It felt like, and let's be honest, I can say this as an Eagle fan because we've been drafting on point for the last couple of years. Historically, since I've been a football fan since the early 2000s, Baltimore has been one of the premier drafting teams, and I think we're starting to get into some of those money drafts that they've had. Cam Hayward was certainly a player that I was very interested in, but he's going at 19, well before it's going to be time for us to select him. Obviously, with Watt gone, Marcel Darius gone, Cam Jordan gone, all these guys would be great scheme fits. I think we can live if the board comes this way and Tyron Smith is available for us to replace Orlando Pace with him. Easy, easy business. And Tyron Smith goes one pick before us at 21. Cam Hayward, 2 picks before us at 19. Brutal! So that has us with Anthony Costanzo, who is at least still a legit first-round talent. Or we could look at Mo Wilkerson to come be defensive end. Both those guys probably within the same ballpark as one another. Oh, man, don't you just love it when the mock draft you're following just lies to you? Well, 37 in true value. I mean, Tyron Smith probably is a top 3 talent in the class, but at least Costanzo is a serviceable starter for us. In the second round, we just need edge. Someone that can rush the passer. Within the top 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 picks. Someone that's a top 90. We got Pernell McPhee going a little bit later. I mean, we could draft him guilt-free if we wanted to. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing much. We got Marvin Austin, who's doing work for us in pick slips. Ooh, Jarrell Casey would certainly get the job done, and he is within our house rules. Let me just... So is Justin Houston. And he actually played for the Baltimore Ravens, didn't he? Late Justin Houston, but yes, let's go. Well, I'll bring him McPhee. I mean, he's 280 with the depth chart. I mean, that's 280's like fringe, like the lightest that you could almost believably still have a 3-4 defensive end. Maybe we'll make it work. We'll go slightly undersized and let Haloti Ngata cover the rest. And if I'm the Ravens, and I mean, yes, this is a JaMarcus Russell revival, but he's heading into a contract year, you absolutely would go back and like, we're going to get Tyrod Taylor and bring him in as a backup in case things don't go well with JaMarcus Russell. The dev traits were aplenty. As we close this thing up, we got Buster Skrine in the 5th round. Pink slips. He's crushing it. Tyrod Taylor, 69 with the dev trait. McPhee, 69 with the dev trait. Justin Houston, 77 with the dev trait. And Costanzo, 72 with the dev trait. So getting robbed of Tyron Smith ends up still yielding a really, really good class. And if you could tell me that I could get Tyron Smith, but then I miss out on, say, a big-time pass rush in the second round, or I go Costanzo and I guarantee get Justin Houston, probably taking the option right here. So we're early into year number 5, the 2011 season. We are off a 41-35 win shootout over the Cleveland Browns, where JaMarcus Russell gets Offensive Player of the Week, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, which... that, combined with how we felt about him leaving last season, makes us feel pretty good that we want to give him a 6-year, $230 million contract extension. He earned it. We're going to bring back Ray Lewis on a 1-year rental. Hopefully he doesn't retire this year. Same thing with Chris McAllister. We're going to bring back Jeremy Zuda on a 5-year, $25 million contract extension. Really, really reasonable, team-friendly deal. And Reed back on a 3-year deal, making sure he retires as a Raven, doesn't end up going to like the Texans or whatever the hell happened in real life. We got Brandon Carr coming back on a 4-year deal. I was on the fence, but the connection there, since he's been in the league with JaMarcus Russell, is valuable. So we'll bring back Jordy Nelson on a 4-year, $76 million deal. Would love to see him get over 1,000 yards again this year. The big day that we're going to kind of let walk is you just can't really afford to have two kind of expensive running backs. And Willis McGahee's still on fire. So unfortunately, the lawman is going to hit the open market. As we get to the end of year number 5, the Baltimore Ravens, 12-5. We've yet to have a season where we have fallen below double-digit wins, which is huge. We also win the AFC North for the second time in 5 years. The bad news is that our passing offense kind of regressed a little bit. But our run game, we had the number 1 run. So it's just one of those ones. Like the offense itself, pretty decent. Because if you're going to have a not great passing offense, if you have the number 1 running back in terms of yards, like how upset can you possibly be? JaMarcus Russell had a solid year. Not great, not bad at all. 31 touchdowns to 7 picks, 1,300 yards, 9 tutties for Willis McGahee. JaMarcus actually running a little bit more, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns on top of that. So 36 tutties on the year. Happy with that. We had 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns for Percy Harvin, 8-8 for Jordy Nelson, 8-6 for Emmanuel Sanders. So really would have loved to see Jordy Nelson go over 1,000 yards, especially after that contract extension we threw out there. Ray Lewis in what could potentially be his final year, over 100 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 interceptions, doing it all. 13.5 sacks, Haloti Nata, 12 from T. Sizzle, 7.5 Paul Soliai, 6.5 from the rookie Justin Houston, who popped with a superstar dev trade. And sky's the limit, man. Him and Terrell Suggs. Like, I'm pretty sure I don't know why I would be misremembering that. I feel like Justin Houston spent like a year or 2 with the Ravens. Prime Justin Houston, though, with prime Terrell Suggs and prime Haloti Nata. Absolute terrifying pass rush. Now let's ignore who won MVP again. Okay, let's everyone just ignore it, and let's just be really, really happy with our lone award winner being our kicker. How about an instant rematch? Week number 18, we defeated the Browns, get them right again in the first round of the playoffs. They have a really, really nice offense led by Donovan McNabb. Why do they have Matt Ryan as well? Classic Madden quarterback situation there. But, you know, they're a non-serious franchise. And a serious franchise needs to show them how it's done. We almost actually choked that one, letting them get 13 points in the 4th quarter. Good showing from JaMarcus Russell, out-dueling Donovan McNabb. Then in the division round, we get Aaron Rodgers and the Tennessee Titans, 11-6. They have a 91 overall offense, top 10 in points, top 5 in rush yards, top 5 in pass yard defense. This could be a matchup that Willis McGahee could go off. This is why you had the number 1 rushing offense, running back, and we get it done. Ugly win, 24-16, but a win nonetheless. As I mean, almost 300 yards is not nothing, and we let Willis McGahee and the run game kind of finish off in the red zone. So I'm happy. And Jordy Nelson going over 100 yards, justifying that contract extension. The Ravens are in the AFC Championship game. There is a lot to digest going into this AFC Championship game. If we lose, it very well could be the final game of Ray Lewis's NFL career. It's also an opportunity for JaMarcus Russell to get a signature win. As much as he's at least gone away from bust JaMarcus Russell with the Raiders, and he's so far looked like, you know, a guy that had hype as a first overall pick or the top quarterback of a class. He doesn't have a signature win through 5 years. We just paid him a contract extension. Chance to go to the Super Bowl. You get to at least a Super Bowl. That changes. You look at Baltimore, they have been an absolute juggernaut. They are led by 96 overall, 2-time NFL MVP Joe Flacco. We gotta hop in on this one. JaMarcus Russell, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed against a alternate universe dominant Joe Flacco and the Buffalo freaking Bills. Now, defense are showing up, and I will say I trust our defense more than I trust their defense. Yeah, they're 15-2, but they've got that on their offense. If we can make this game ugly, and it's unfortunately been ugly for our offense. Come on, fellas! 1 field goal is not good enough. I'm going to help him out here. 4th and 17. This offense that I have so very badly wanted to fire the OC. This honestly could be the year. A year that I'm just like, no, we need... Damn it! Damn, would have been nice to get Ray one more ring. It's also time. We got Dan Quinn running the hell of this defense. I think it's time we explore something different on the offense. Let's see what we got. We got Vegas, Carolina, Detroit, Cleveland, New England, Arizona, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Atlanta, Cincinnati. That's what we had. We had the Bengals. You know what, though? I love Green Bay. Let's go to the draft season. Man, it'd be cool to get JaMarcus up to like a superstar. I think that would optically would look pretty badass. We need a right tackle, so it's back-to-back years that we probably need to address the tackle position. Defensively, I mean, we do have Ellerby who could step up to replace Ray Lewis, which is big shoes to fill, and I do think maybe in a perfect world, because McAllister on a one-year rental, adding a high upside corner would be nice. So the final look at the 2012 class. We need corner tackle. So anytime a corner or tackle go out the board, we have Stephon Gilmore going at 5. Claiborne's going to be gone. Cordy Glenn. Some pretty nice names. Jack Rabbit. Mitchell Schwartz. Who's left for us? Kevin Zeitler. Can he play tackle? I don't think he can. Great pick, not a fit. On the clock at pick number 29. Looking at the board, Harrison Smith is a Titan. Bobby Wagner on the Rams. We have Luke Kuechly on the Jags. RG3 is a Dolphin. Fletcher Cox on the Falcons. Very interesting names. Dontari Poe to the Browns. Riley Reef on the Bengals. Just kind of looking at our own division there. And the Steelers get Josh Robinson. Okay, so for us, we need tackle, corner. Best tackle and or corner that is available at 29 is going to be a Baltimore Raven. And unfortunately, absolutely nothing on the tackle front. So looking into the secondary, house rules, we had a pick within 32 picks of our pick. So that gives us to pick 61, which allows us to draft Casey Hayward in this situation. First round talent at corner, number 9 in true value at pick 29. Let's go. The 2012 class for the Ravens ended up being a decent class. Kalicia Semele was in this class. I think he's actually already off the board, unfortunately. Is he still here, though? Because he played tackle. He was drafted as a tackle. I think he's gone. Damn. That would have been a great get. Also say, in light of recent news, nah, I'm good. I will say we need a punter, and it is a hell of a year to need a punter. We're going to get Johnny Hekker, one of the best punters of this generation. We're going to draft recap. Needed a corner, got a corner in Casey Hayward. 77 with a dev trade. Best tackle available is Bobby Massey. It's just, I feel like, who did he play for? The Bears, I feel like. Not great value pretty much for the rest of our picks until we got Johnny Hekker in the 6th round. Would have been great to get a Kalicia Semele on the team, but unfortunately didn't work out that way. But at least we got a new starting corner. Well, to say that I think we got our new offense right would be an understatement. The Ravens are undefeated, 6-0 start. Now, our passing offense still isn't like the best in the league, but it's a lot better than where it was. And overall, offense, defense are playing out of their minds. Contract time, $98 million. Things are going to get a little tight now that we have JaMarcus Russell paid under contract. Percy Harvin is an immense talent, so I think we absolutely have to lock him in for the long term. I think, unfortunately, we could save a little bit of money. Vontae Leach, Chris McAllister. It's probably time to maybe take a little bit of a shift there. Dewan Landry. You know, we have Earl Thomas, who's kind of been miscast. However, for the case of Terrell Suggs, I really, really want you to retire a Baltimore Raven. 156 he turns down. Honestly, probably will take 160 to get him to sign. That's exactly what it was. 4 years, $160 million, and T. Sizzle remains a Baltimore Raven. So at the end of year number 6, with a brand new scheme, there were some growing pains. It did feel like near the back end of the season it was win one, lose one, win one, lose one. We finished with a 10-7 record, which is our worst record of the rebuild. But I do think it's going to be for the better. I think at the end of the day, we have an aging Willis McGahee, and we can't continue just to be fine with our offense cannibalizing our pass catchers. We've already lost dev traits on Todd Heap. Went from superstar to star because of our scheme. Jordy Nelson went from superstar to star in our scheme. So we need to just do our best to think about life beyond Willis McGahee. You already have like 5-6 points of regression. He's at that age. He's close to 30. And at least, JaMarcus Russell, 34 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. That is pretty damn good for the first year in a brand new scheme. Willis McGahee still got his 1,100 yards with 9 touchdowns. We got 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns for Percy Harvin. Jordy Nelson with 11 and 14. That is exactly what we need to see with Emmanuel Sanders and Dennis Pitta chipping in as really good role players. Sean Lee has to take over for the great Ray Lewis. Does, a solid job. 14 sacks, T-Sizzle, 13.5 from Loti Nutt, 9 from Justin Houston. Interceptions led by our rookie, Casey Hayward, whose dev trait is only a star. Unfortunately, we didn't have any award winners, so let's take this time to just catch up. Where's JaMarcus Russell at? Now that we are into, his 5th full season in the NFL, almost 19,000 yards passing, 166 touchdowns, only 39 interceptions. So I don't think a single person clicked on this video. I made probably a lot of people assumed that things were going to be solid to good, but maybe not in this way. I thought, even if we get JaMarcus Russell going, he'll be one of those guys that, he'd get 40 touchdowns, but he's also throwing, 15 picks minimum every year. He's been very protective of the football. Maybe could be utilized a little bit more as a dual threat. Not so much from a yards, but red zone, short yardage touchdowns. But ultimately, got to be very happy with where he's at. What we're not happy with is first round of the playoffs, we draw the Kansas City Chiefs. You never want to, especially early. It's just, shock it! 31-3, T-Says with a hat trick, JaMarcus Russell, 4 touchdowns, shuck it, Kansas City. In the division round, we get the 9-8 Colts, who also pretty well balanced offense and defense. Not great throwing the football, but they're a legitimate team. Not legit enough. 24-21, the run continues, and it's JaMarcus Russell with 2 straight back-to-back Offensive Player of the Week performances in this playoff run. And we got 7 touchdowns, no picks in 2 games. He's hot. What better game could you ask for? Divisional rivalry with the Super Bowl on the line against the 13-4 Donovan McNabb-led Cleveland Browns. Let's get front row to this one. All right, opening drive for the good guys. They've been a little camera shy. Gotta be honest. We hop in with the Ravens. We have not been dominating, but at least we get the opening score. Cleveland scores right away. We respond right away. I think at the end of the day, our defense should be the deciding factor here. I think JaMarcus Russell and what we've built offensively, Willis McGahee, can contain and compete with Donovan McNabb and company. But I think our defense we got the veterans. We got Ed Reed. This could be, you never know when his last run's going to be. We kick a field goal. 2 minutes to go. Can our defense get this one across the line? And they do. Turnover on downs. Oh, they have to punt it. But luckily, we are good. 20-17. JaMarcus Russell and the Baltimore Ravens are headed to the Super Bowl. Oh, come on, man. Let's get him celebrating. Where's JaMarcus at? Where's he at, baby? You know he's on one. Damn it. I mean, he had a good showing, too. Didn't hurt our team. The Super Bowl is set. The 10-7 Ravens against the 10-7 Seahawks. Battle of the Birds. Seattle has a top 10 offense, top 5 running offense, top 10 defense. Let's see their roster. I see they got Julio Jones. Okay, so not quite the Legion of Boom. Dwayne Bowe, Julio Jones, Lance Briggs at quarterback. They got Tim Tebow. So a battle of redemption. I mean, honestly, Tebow's someone that could get a series like this. If you guys want to see, I need you guys to comment. If you guys like this kind of revival thing, what player do we need to do next? And on what team? You can help me out with the storyline, because I was surprised when I was like, all right, how can I save JaMarcus Russell? What could realistically be the best landing spot that also made sense. And the fact that the Baltimore Ravens clearly got a JaMarcus Russell type in Joe Flacco a year after he got drafted, it just made, it was a perfect landing spot. So if there's any other busts that you think would be in a complete, like, re-over, the best possible landing scenario, please let me know. He's got a really good team. There's no doubt about it. We're so overall, they higher than us? Oh, we're pretty, you know, we're similar. But I'm confident that this will get over the line. Year 6 Super Bowl win, JaMarcus Russell. Let's go, baby. I've seen the comments too. Everyone wants me to use, and I get it. From a presentation standpoint, the retro-ish jerseys when I do these contests. I'm going to try my best. Sometimes it's just you get in a rhythm, bang, bang, and it's something you forget to do. But here we go. Correct timeline. JaMarcus Russell, Tim Tebow for a Super Bowl. Did you ever think you would see a snapshot of that? One of these quarterbacks is going to immediately remove bust status if they can win a Super Bowl. Opening score goes to the Ravens and JaMarcus Russell. Tebow able to get 3 points into field goal range, but we're able to exactly respond. Oh, I don't even care. I gotta get at least a touchdown here, at minimum, in a Super Bowl. Percy Harvin, that's where I want to go. I'm on JaMarcus. Come on, Percy. Got him! Percy Harvin! The Battle of Florida Gators. Tebow and Harvin did special things down in Gainesville. Oh, baby. So we're at least going to equal the Joe Flacco Super Bowl. 1 win with Flacco as your quarterback. We've at least equaled that with JaMarcus Russell. I think we've also arguably put up better stats than Joe Flacco has by this point in time. But that is sick. A 4-0 playoff run. A Super Bowl win versus Seattle. Putting that down here in the old notes. And JaMarcus Russell absolutely earned it. Deserved it. Incredible, man. It's what it's all about. Honestly, you're probably going to give Super Bowl MVP to JaMarcus Russell. Chris McAllister going out on top as a Super Bowl champion, retiring after 14 seasons. Ed Reed returns. Going to the 2013 NFL Draft, tackle, I would say, is certainly the biggest priority. Lane Johnson going at 12. We're going to wait all the way. Damn. The long way. We need a tackle. But the house rules that we've applied that have always kept a balance. It giveth sometimes, it taketh sometimes. We can pick a player within 1 full round. So that is 64. Top 64 players. Brutal. Because he's absolutely no chance he's going to be there in the second round. Off-ball linebacker would be something else. Kiko Alonso. Ooh, Jarvis Jones doesn't suck in this world. That's interesting. Who'd the Ravens actually get this year, out of curiosity's sake? 2013 class for Baltimore. They got Matty. Was not a particular. They got Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk, Brandon Williams at nose tackle. Those are kind of the 2 big gets. I guess we could go Juszczyk. We let Vonta Leach walk. But, I mean, in the first round, we need a middle linebacker. We will go with Kiko Alonso. Needs a haircut. Number 43 in true value. Does at least pop with a dev trait. Well, in the second round, we're going to be able to bring in Brandon Williams. Don't know if he's going to have a dev trait, but good nose tackle, 47, top 50 player, and he does have a dev trait as well as 95 strength. Man, Juszczyk went in like the second round. Damn it. We're going to overdraft a player here that had a nice spell with the Baltimore Ravens. Tony Jefferson at safety, number 94 in true value, and he pops with a dev trait. So take a look at our draft recap. Kiko Alonso, 72 with the dev trait. Brandon Williams, 71 with the dev trait. We got Rick Wagner, 66. Tony Jefferson, 68 with a dev trait. Nice haul for a reigning, defending Super Bowl champion squad. For the first time in a couple drafts, our divisional opponent actually has a pretty damn good draft with the Bengals getting Ziggy Ansah, K1 Short, and DJ Swearinger, 3 dev trait players. Big gets on the defense. Year 7 of the 2013 regular season. Off our bye week, we are 7-2 with the shift that we perceived would happen with the offensive scheme change and the aging Willis McGahee. We're going to have to win more with JaMarcus Russell and his arm. And it is looking very much to be the case. And we're in pole position right now in the AFC. $71 million of salary cap. Things are starting to get a little bit tight ever since we paid JaMarcus Russell, which is always the challenge. So I do think tough decisions need to be made. Paul Soliai, we drafted Brandon Williams, so we can kind of move on there. Chris Chester, don't have much on the offensive line as far as like depth. So it is going to be valuable kind of keeping those guys as long as we can. That's expensive, though, for a one-year rental. Willis McGahee, the time is now. Pitta is just a role player in our offense, not worth paying. Emmanuel Sanders is our wide receiver 3. You can make an argument that, we draft Earl Thomas needs to get paid. That's the one guy out of everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should be enough. 5-year, 103. Let's go. We're back to our 12-win ways here in year 7. But it's about how did we achieve these 12 wins. As you can see, JaMarcus Russell, top 3 passer. Blocked by my webcam. Percy Harvin was the second leading receiver in the NFL. 4,600 yards, 44 touchdowns to 3 picks. For JaMarcus Russell, he has not had a season like this his entire career. And what better time than like your 6th year in the league to be like, you know what? Now it's time for me to kind of dominate. Also threw in another 4 rushing touchdowns, 48 total touchdowns. Percy Harvin, 1,700 yards on 102 catches, 18 tutties, 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns for Jordy Nelson, Sanders, and Pitta. Kind of showing why I don't think it's going to be worth paying them. Lee and Alonzo were very great. Whoa, Kiko Alonso for a rookie. 104 tackles, 8 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, 4 picks. Doing it all. 16 sacks, T-Sizzle, 10 from Justin Houston, 7.5 from Haloti Nata. With Kiko Alonso, the rookie, leading the team with 4 picks. Wow. Very interesting. Now, we did have a couple award winners. Percy Harvin wins Offensive Player of the Year and Wide Receiver of the Year. We have Kiko Alonso winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, and JaMarcus Russell winning Quarterback of the Year, his first award of his NFL career outside of arguably being Super Bowl MVP. So as we look to defend our Super Bowl crown, we kick things off against the 10-7 Phillip Rivers-led Jacksonville Jaguars. We're not an easy out. Holy shit. Not an easy out. Damn right. 49 points they drop on our heads. Double overtime loss. You don't deserve to win, honestly. You don't deserve to repeat as Super Bowl champions or defend your crown when you allow Phillip freaking Rivers to go for 500 yards and 6 tugs. Damn. And it is end of an era, going out on a low note. Ed Reed retires after 12 years, so the last of that golden generation of Raven defenders is done. Good news is that for the first time in forever, we have some depth traits to talk about as JaMarcus Russell, with a very dominant campaign, runner-up for NFL MVP, gets himself a superstar dev. And what better time than now? 29 years old, getting ready to face some regression. We know he's going to be regressed when he loses that 99 throw power, but I think it's been a great story so far because at no point has he been the best quarterback in the league. He's been outside, hovering around that top 10 range, which, again, it's not like we did this revival of JaMarcus Russell and instantly became an X factor, instantly was just rattling off MVPs. Now, this season, if this is a sign of things to come for him in his later stages of his prime, we could start stacking some things here. But ultimately, I think it's been a realistic grind. We sat him for his first rookie year, which I think should happen. We're going to reward him with a C on his chest. We're going to give him Ed Reed C. He's been awesome. Elsewhere, maybe harshly, Jordy Nelson is still on a star dev. Willis McGahee has regressed quite a lot. In a blink of an eye, he's gone from 99 X Factor to 2 straight seasons of apparently having his legs amputated. So running back is going to be a need for our team because even though we are shifting towards more of a pass attack, we need a good run game. We always need a good run game. So we're going to need to replace Willis McGahee at some point, probably soon. Brown's going to be gone, so that's a guard that we need to find. We still have not really found a right tackle. So there's 3 key pieces on the offensive side of the ball. We're letting Dennis Pitta walk, so there's a tight end. We're going to need like an insane draft haul here in the 2014 draft. We need a safety with Ed Reed retiring. Luckily, Kiko Alonso, for winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, gets a superstar dev trade increase. We are far from a complete roster going into year 8 of this rebuild career revival. Obviously, these stats are a mix of real life and what we're trying to recreate. Hopefully, JaMarcus will take these. Derek Mason finishes as our all-time leader in receiving yards, touchdowns, and receptions. We have T. Sizzle and Ed Reed, in a way, still have their own records. Weren't re-broken by themselves. But shout out Willis McGay as he leads the Baltimore Ravens as the all-time leader in rush yards and rush touchdowns. JaMarcus got a little ways to go in the yards, but he's only 2 touchdowns away from becoming the all-time career leader in passing touchdowns for the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to be active in free agency just because we have too many open positions, vacant positions that we're just not going to be able to get in the draft. So we're going to bring LeGarrette Blount in, especially if we're shifting towards more of a pass-heavy offense. You just need like a good role player at that running back spot. Again, Blount on a 3-year deal will exactly suffice. We got Asamoah at one of the guard spots. He was actually a really, really reasonable contract. I'm going to try and bring back Todd Heap before he retires on a 1-year rental to be our tight end again. Now, this 2014 draft in real life for Baltimore was a successful draft, all things considered. They got C.J. Mosley in the first round, Timmy Jernigan in the second round, Terrence Brooks in the third, Brent Urban, a Canadian, which I always loved, in the fourth, I think. So all things in all, it was pretty good. As it relates for our class, safety would be a big need for us. Wasn't able to really get a good one there in free agency. Tackle would be another one. Safety tackle, if I had to kind of put a 1-2. And right now, we're projected to get Eric Ebron. Well, I'll tell you right now, if Joel Bitonio is still on the board, we're going to go there. HaHa Clindick's still on the board. Probably going to go there. Sitting and waiting all the way to pick number 24. And of course, the fucking tackles, dude. They always go. Bitonio, 21, was supposed to be on the board. Taylor Lewan, just before we picked. So for Jake Matthews goes 14. Like, oh my, it's like they always know what the one position we desperately need. Because I don't really need a safety. I'd rather like let Tony Jefferson have a chance to develop. And there's just nothing. Uhort was like solid for like a couple years for the Colts, I think. You got Justin Britt there. I mean, other needs would be, I guess, slot wide receiver. Where we have Kelvin Benjamin. That could be, you know, a little redemption. But if we really want to chase after a slot archetype, that would be Jarvis Landry. He is within house rules, so I am interested there. Running back. Yeah, not much there as well. So, yeah, I mean, really want to go tackle, but the board screwed us, so we're going to go with a pick that we'll still be very happy with. Jarvis Landry, number 14 in true value. Don't even need him, but we got to bring in the Canadian. Brenner, bring him back. You know what? Feeling extra patriotic today. Just with everything going on right now. Someone that couldn't give 2 shits about politics. We're gonna flood this Ravens team with a couple Canadians here. Get some good vibes going. Take a look at our draft recap. Really wanted to tackle. I mean, Tardif, 70 with a dev trait. That will get the job done in more ways than one. We got Alan Hearns late. 7th round pick with a dev trait, which is nice little get there for the wide receiver room on top of Jarvis Landry. Because, you know, Jordy Nelson is no spring chicken anymore. So adding some depth there is real nice. Able to bring back Brent Urban. I think Gilmore was a pick. Was he part of this draft class, or did he eventually? He was, yeah, the 3rd round pick that year. So cool. Cool draft. Steelers had a ridiculous draft as well. Mike Evans, Dexter, Tank Lawrence, and Brandon Linder, all dev trait players. Bengals bring in OBJ. Okay. A little worried. Even the Browns had the best draft in a minute. So it seems here in year 8 that Ed Reed was the missing piece of the defense. Defense has fallen off a cliff. Offensively, good. Solid spot. Should finish strong. Defense, one of the worst in the league. 3-4. Not great. We just gotta hope that these guys can weather the storm, because we got some good young players there. Buster Screen, gotta get him on a 3-year deal. He's a star dev trait. Best football ahead of him. John Lee, an understudy of Ray Lewis. He knows what it takes to be good enough to go win a Super Bowl. We're gonna keep him for a 3-year deal, locking him in for the rest of his prime. We got Anthony Costanzo on a 5-year franchise tackle-esque contract. Over $100 million. 5 years, $60 million. So incredibly reasonable contract for superstar pass rusher Justin Houston. Unfortunately, the budget gets a little tight, so Perdell McPhee, Tyrod Taylor. Unfortunately, peace out. I want to bounce back and just kind of get back to that automatic status of 12 wins for the Baltimore Ravens. Finish with a top 5 offense. Our defense woke the hell up, dude. We were in the 20s. Top 5 defense. Passing yards, not the best. But ultimately, I mean, JaMarcus is playing like a baller. 4,100 yards, 44 touchdowns. With that, he now takes the all-time career touchdown record for the Baltimore Ravens, which is awesome. LeGarrette Blount, serviceable. Did the goddamn thing. Percy Harvin, unreal. 1,400 yards, 21 touchdowns. Just under 1,000 for Jordy Nelson. Just under 1,000. And double-digit touchdowns for Jarvis Landry. That should bode well for an Offensive Rookie of the Year bid. Defensively, Sean Lee, bunch of tackles, 15.5 sacks. T. Sizzle, 15 Nanta, 11.5 from Justin Houston. And our interception numbers are not the best. Not great news is we actually didn't end up winning any awards. And Aaron Rodgers on the Tennessee Titans wins NFL MVP. And that relates to us because that's who we're taking on in the wild card round. Yikes. Not a great role for the Baltimore Ravens to go on a run here in year 8 and get back to a Super Bowl, running into the hottest offense in the league. And it ends up being a disappointing field goal difference. I mean, technically, JaMarcus Russell did outduel the NFL MVP. But, damn. Here's a look at our roster after 2 very disappointing 1-game, 1 losses. Back-to-back years after winning a Super Bowl. Something needs to change. I mean, look at our team, though. There's not a whole lot I'm worried about. A tight end is a role player on the offense, but I guess, yes, we could look at a tight end. Defensively, need a 3-4 defensive end with maybe a little more upside. Other than that, I mean, we're straight up in BPA territory. That 2015 mock, why won't the Bears learn? Why do they love Kevin White so much? For us here in the Baltimore Ravens, tight end, I suppose, would be our ideal pick. And looks like we are going to have pick of the litter. There's not even any first-round grade tight ends in this class. I can't remember this. I feel like it definitely isn't a strong tight end class. But we won't be going to Marius Randall. All right, let's take a look here. Top 56 picks. Both quarterbacks are still aboard. Look at the tight end. Got Max Williams, Tyler. Oh, my God. Now, Darren Waller actually was a pick of the Ravens. So maybe we'll overdraft him at some point. By maybe, I mean 100% I will. Man, getting a backup quarterback at this time. I mean, this is not a rebuild of the Ravens. Once JaMarcus hangs him up, we're done. Got Melvin Gordon there at running back. Yeah, why not? Melvin Gordon first round, Darren Waller second round. Melvin Gordon number 2 in true value in the class. Looking back on this class in real life for the Ravens was, you know, they did get Max Williams at tight end. Rashad Perriman was a first round pick. They got Zadarius Smith in the 4th round. Darren Waller was a 6th round pick. Is Zadarius Smith still there? Because I think I could live with bringing him in. So we're going to do that. Zadarius Smith, 2nd round, 3rd round, Darren Waller. Zadarius Smith ends up being 33rd in true value with a dev trait. And we needed a tight end. Boy, oh boy. Do we get one here? Needs a haircut for sure, but 52 in true value for Darren Waller and a 6'6", 240-pound, 91 acceleration, 91 speed tight end. Draft recap, an excellent haul for the Baltimore Ravens. Darren Waller, 70 with the dev trade. Zadarius Smith, 72 with the dev trade. Melvin Gordon, number 2 talent in the class. They come in and complement LeGarrette Blount in our backfield. Ooh, Steelers got an interesting running back. And Amari Cooper ends up, eventually, a Brown. They also get Rob Havenstein and Grady Jarrett and Rashad Perriman, who was the first-round pick of the Ravens this year. Interesting haul for the Cleveland Browns. Weird vibes, year 9, 5-5. Our stats are very good and do not align with a team that's 500. We are well into the prime of JaMarcus Russell right now. Like, this needs to be, if we're going to win another Super Bowl, we got to be gearing up right about now. $55 million remaining of salary cap. And with that, got some decisions to make. I think Haloti Ngata needs to retire. He probably 69 to declines. Probably 72, 73 will get that one across the line. I think in the case of Jordy Nelson, we have Jarvis Landry, like we have and have shown consistently 2 receivers in this team can go over 1,000 yards. Probably don't need that third, especially one that'd be expensive. So I think that kind of opens for Jarvis Landry to remain here. We got Brandon Carr, you know, 1 year, maybe 2-year deal, superstar corner, still playing really, really reliable football. Damn. Him and Haloti Ngata must got the same agent. All right, $500,000 more. Brandon Carr's locked in for 2 more years. And $72 million was the magic number for Haloti Ngata, potentially and likely to retire a Baltimore Raven. So at the end of his 9th season in the NFL, JaMarcus Russell, 11-6. We end up with the number 3 offense, a top 10 passing offense, top 10 rushing offense, the number 1 defense in the NFL. JaMarcus Russell, 48 passing touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. With the 3 rushing, he gets over 50 bomb. Gordon was solid. Percy Harvin, ridiculous. Almost 1,800 yards, 26 touchdowns in the slot. 1,010 from Jordy Nelson. Darren Waller was a great role player for us. Defensively, Sean Lee was a tackle machine. 22.5 sacks from Justin Houston, chasing down the all-time single-season record. 10 sacks for Ngata, 4.5 from the veteran Terrell Suggs. We got 7 picks by Brandon Carr. What? Always kind of funny to see like what records were reset. 'Cause I was like, oh man, did Harvin break what is the touchdown record? Randy Moss has it, right? Well, since then, Byron Leftwich now owns single-season passing touchdown record for the Panthers with 56. We have Julian Edelman with the Jags, has single-season touchdown receiving touchdowns, 31, which is insane. You got not Michael Thomas, but Cliff Averill of the Dolphins with 29 sacks. So those records for both Percy Harvin and Justin Houston have a hell of a year. I mean, the bar has been moved and raised. This is the second time in this rebuild. JaMarcus Russell has come runner-up for NFL MVP. Oh, we did get some award winners. Percy Harvin wins Offensive Player of the Year and Wide Receiver of the Year. Justin Houston gets Linebacker of the Year, and Brandon Carr gets DB of the Year. Optimism is very high that this Ravens team that's probably played our best complimentary football to date is going to be able to go on a run. In the first round, we knock out the Patriots 32-31 with JaMarcus Russell, 4-touchdown performance. He's on fire, and he's motivated after losing out of the MVP award. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins, who have Cliff Averill, who's an all-time pass rusher right now. Joe Hayden and a number 7 defense overall. Baltimore looking to go on that, fuck's sakes, going on a run. We lose 34-31. Earl Thomas tried his best with 2 interceptions, but just not enough juice in the tank offensively to find a way to get that one. Ah, man. Looks like it could have been a last-second field goal, walk-off field goal. Played a lot better than RG3. But unfortunately, our run game was not complimentary. Our biggest, best receivers had 35 yards and 68 yards, respectively. And on the defensive side of the ball, our pass rush was non-existent. God damn it. At season's end, the good news is, well, Melvin Gordon comes in as a superstar. Darren Waller comes in as a superstar. Defensively, Justin Houston, now an X Factor. Earl Thomas up to a superstar. And outside of Haloti Ngata and T. Sizzle, who are getting up there in age a little bit, and Brandon Carr, who got a dev trait, then lost a dev trait because he's old, dev traits are trending in the right direction. Unfortunately, with JaMarcus Russell now becoming an X Factor, which is certainly, if you're looking at a checklist of everything we could potentially accomplish, it's pretty much X Factor and win an MVP. We are at that time. Regression is now starting to hit. He is 31 years old. And there's a shot there's only 3 more years left. Quarterbacks start to retire at 34, 35, in that range. So the clock is a-ticking for JaMarcus Russell to figure out if he's going to be good enough to ever win MVP. Whatever that missing piece is, because he's been bridesmaid, never a bride in that situation. But most importantly, our window of winning another Super Bowl, the downturn's already starting for JaMarcus. So we need to win soon. So we're going to let Jordy Nelson walk. He was drafted here. He was our first true wide receiver 1 for JaMarcus Russell, and he finishes his Ravens career 658 catches, 8,100 yards, and 79 touchdowns. Pretty damn good. As we look ahead to the 2016 NFL Draft, our team needs are as follow. We need a guard, for sure. As for the offense, I feel pretty good. If we got to go Harvin, Landry, Darren Waller, and Allen Hurns, we got complimentary game in the run. I mean, we're good. So a guard, and on the defensive side of the ball, Ngata is showing signs of regression and slowing down, so a pass rusher would be nice. Brandon Carr, even though he's coming off a DB of the year, his regression is hit. T. Sizzle could be retiring at any moment, so there's a lot of BPA in a couple positions on the defensive side of the ball, which could present itself in this draft late in the first round. 2016 NFL draft for the Ravens was pretty good. They hit in the first round with Ronnie Stanley. They were able to bring in Tavon Young in the 4th round, had a nice career. Matt Judon in the 6th round. So we're looking for a replacement potentially for Suggs. I think Judon would be a sneaky get that we won't have to overdraft relatively early. That would be painful. Ronnie Stanley, who has been, for the most part of his career, a very good left tackle going to a rival in the Browns, but that's just the nature of the beast when you have to wait all the way to pick 27 to try and improve your team. The board does fall that way. We got Bosa going to the Rams, Zeke Elliott to the Vikings, Jalen Ramsey coming to the division on the Cincinnati Bengals front. The Browns steal away Ronnie Stanley. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Hunter Henry goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers in their own division. So at pick 27, you got to kind of pick through the scraps here a little bit. The Ravens need a guard. What do we have? We have Cody Whitehair. We have Joe Thuney. Just got, actually would be, there you go. That's a pretty, I can live with that pick. 3-4 defensive end. Not much there. I think at pass rush, getting Matt Judon a little bit later. What was he, UDFA? Is he listed as like a D end? Oh, yeah. Getting Matt Judon, honestly, I might even get him in the 2nd round. That will be our pass rush help. Corner. Ugh. Honestly, Tavon Young would be maybe the best available pick there. So, with that being said, we're going to select Joe Thuney, who recently just got traded to the Chicago Bears, which, spoiler alert, I think that's going to be our next realistic rebuild. Number 17 in true value at pick 27 with a dev trait. Very nice selection. Crowd loves it. In the 2nd round, we're going to get our Terrell Suggs successor. Going to be an understudy. Matt Judon, 59 in true value, rolling with a dev trait. And in the 3rd round, likely BPA and was a selection of the Ravens this year. We're going to get Tavon Young into the secondary. Top 100 player, no dev trait. But it ends up being a pretty impactful draft. Being able to kind of relive a couple hits by the Baltimore Ravens. Tavon Young, 70 overall. Matt Judon, 72 with a dev trait. And then getting Joe Thuney, a day 1 starter on the offensive line. Don't know if necessarily Joe Thuney's the missing piece for our team to get back to a Super Bowl, but it certainly gives us a complete offense. Year 10, 2016 regular season, 4-3. Okay. I mean, rushing offense on point, passing offense, not as bad as it's been. Defense overall, good at keeping teams out the end zone, but we are giving up a lot of yards. Contracts, we're going to bring Terrell Suggs back on a 1-year deal to just almost at this point ensure he retires a Baltimore Raven. The veteran center, Jeremy Zuda, back on a 2-year deal. Guard, John Asamoah, 82 overall, back on a 3-year deal. The death Brandon Williams brings to the D-line, he's back on a 2-year. Very reasonable deal. It's like $15 million. Casey Hayward's back on a 3-year, $42 million deal. Lastly, we'll bring back Tony Jefferson on a 4-year extension. He's definitely emerged as a nice starter. So all in all, Garrett Blount's probably the only guy, I think at this point, that's on the way out. At the end of year number 10, make the playoffs, 11-6. I love how consistent this team has been. I love how JaMarcus Russell has brought that consistency to this team. We have 6 NFC North titles in the last 8 years, 4 in a row. We've took it over one of the most competitive divisions in all of NFL. JaMarcus Russell, 2nd in the NFL with 44 touchdowns again, 4,000 yards, 7 picks, over 1,000 for Melvin Gordon, 1,500 yards, 23 touchdowns for Percy Harvin, 7 and 10 for Jarvis Landry, Darren Waller with 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, Kiko Alonso, tackle machine, 14 sacks, T-Sizzle, 12 from Justin Houston, 9 from Haloti Nata. We got 3 picks. Kiko Alonso leading the team. He's had a hell of a career for us. Unfortunately, not a lot of hardware for the Baltimore Ravens this year. We only have 1 award winner. That is Justin Houston winning linebacker of the year. Him and T-Sizzle were battling it out, competing against each other. Awesome to see. Just in case it is his final season, Terrell Suggs, hell of a career. 900 tackles, 117 TFLs, and 141 career sacks. Which actually, I don't know why it says 141 and 138, but he's broken his own record. He is now the official all-time leader in sacks for the Baltimore Ravens in this simulation. We also have Percy Harvin taking over all of the major receiving records. And JaMarcus Russell with passing touchdowns. How far are we off? 38,000 for Joe Flacco. Oh, we'll hit that next year. Hell yeah. I also think now's a good time to correctly give JaMarcus Russell, if he was ever to get an X Factor, he clearly would have bazooka for his ability. So the first round of the playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens have been starved for playoff success. We beat the Ravens in the wild card last year. We got the Patriots, and oh no. Why, man? What is the miss? Like, we have a run game, we have an O-line, our quarterback passing offense is on point. Our running game is not showing up in these losses. I guess that is the one thing that definitely sticks out just a little bit. Our run game and our pass rush has been overmatched in our last couple playoff losses. Cool. Terrell Suggs does not retire, so one more year out of him will be good. But kind of getting the vibe here of JaMarcus Russell in a way. Doesn't have the MVPs, but kind of reminds me of Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers a little bit. Where it's just like, you got your Super Bowl, yeah, that's fine and good. But how many years of him going for 40 touchdowns in single-digit picks are wasted with no other Super Bowl success? You got one, you have a greatest hit, you're a one-hit wonder, and you're feeling that at 32 years old, JaMarcus Russell is regressing, and frankly, should have won more. We should have multiple Super Bowls. We should have MVPs. And he just, I don't know. 2017 draft for the Baltimore Ravens was top-heavy, to say the least. This was the draft that they got Marlon Humphrey at pick 16. They also got Chuck Clark in the 6th round. He's been a very serviceable safety in the NFL. But for where we're at, we're very much BPA. So, if that's Ryan Ramczyk, if that's Jamal Adams, we need a game changer. We need someone that can be the difference maker of us going on a Super Bowl run and not. Do think ultimately for me at 24, pass rush is where we need to go. Haloti Ngata, Terrell Suggs, you don't know how much longer they got. Of course, TJ Watt's going very early, so that's likely going to leave us with not much on the draft board here. Ugh. Damn it. I mean, BPA would be Jamal Adams. We just re-signed Tony Jefferson. Got Earl Thomas. Can't get Cooper Kupp outside of house rules. We're honestly in like just a not great spot for how the board has fallen. I think just looking at this, you know, maybe Dalvin Tomlinson has the best shot at maybe out of a depth trade. Good key ratings there. Just, oh, there we go. 21 in true value. No depth trade. Hated the board. Hated it. Hate everything about it. Fuck. Maybe Trey Hendrickson is going to be solid. There we go. 35 in true value and a depth trade. Hey, there we go. There's someone. So take a look at our draft recap. Yeah, just some depth down the road, but Darius Stewart, Alabama pipeline, remains strong. Trey Hendrickson, 74 with the depth trade. 75 normal for Tomlinson. Not the end of the world, but also, I don't know if this is a needle mover draft class for this Ravens team to figure out how to win in the playoffs again. Sick. Awesome. Cool. Year number 11, and I feel like, I don't want to say put up or shut up time, but the regression is only going to get more substantial from here on out for JaMarcus Russell. So as we stand as a 91 base, 94 with the boosts, I mean, after this year, Harvin's going to start regressing. After this year, you know, we're probably going to see the end of Terrell Suggs, the end of Haloti Ngata, that era of player. Earl Thomas is pretty much at his ceiling. Sean Lee is pretty much at his ceiling. So I think, honestly, looking at however long JaMarcus Russell might play till he's 36, 37, this is probably going to be our last good. Everyone is kind of in their prime / meshed in with the last generation, our last Super Bowl team. We got to win it this year. Not ideal at midseason. Below 500, coming off 2 straight losses to divisional opponents in the Steelers and Browns. And our rankings are middle of them all for pretty much everything. Our contracts, we're going to start Percy Harvin, the all-time leader in pretty much everything. He's not showing any signs of slowing down. Kiko Alonso has been incredible in the middle of the defense. I think also we finish this thing off. We're going to be a one-club team. I don't want to see JaMarcus go to like Arizona to finish his career off. He's going to retire a Raven. Quarterback Laurent Duvernay Tardif. on the offensive line, but with that, it makes Jarvis Landry, who has no interest in re-signing, which means we had to significantly overpay. He's going to hit the open market, and we're going to have to be in the market for a wide receiver too. Carr's still playing at a relatively high level, so we'll bring him back on a 1-year rental. Well, there's pretty much $0 remaining. It'd be very nice if T. Sizzle rides off into the sunset at the end of the year. We don't have to watch him play and finish his career somewhere else. Fantastic. Our team has their highest overall, I think, in this whole rebuild, and we're 7-10. This could be the realistic, unfortunate end of how this video is going to go, of just watching JaMarcus Russell regress and regress and regress until there's not much there. But we got 3 more years at least of him here in Baltimore. He didn't have a bad season. Melvin Gordon was solid. Percy Harvin was solid. Jarvis Landry was just a dude. Now with him walking, we're going to need Darren Waller to step up. Defensively, Kiko Alonso continues to be very productive. Our sacks fell off a freaking cliff. And our interceptions were non-existent. Regardless if he retires or not, his final stats with the Ravens, just under 1,000 tackles, 127 TFLs, and 150 sacks for Terrell Suggs. He does retire after 15 seasons. Appreciate all the years of service and high level of play. Oh, they're slowly massacring our boy. JaMarcus Russell, now 33 years old, still keeps his X factor, but regressing 23 points. Still has his 99 throw power, so, you know, that ain't going nowhere. The end is near. We'll show respect. Sean Lee, the understudy of Ray Lewis, is also his final year. We're going to let him walk, test the market. 800 tackles, 30 TFLs, 20 sacks, 10 picks. Had a real nice career. Cool news is JaMarcus Russell is now the all-time leader in every Raven passing category. 40,000 yards, 384 tuds. So with a lot of roster turnover between retirements and salary cap, our offense needs a wide receiver too. Need to prioritize that. Defensively, we need an inside linebacker that can play alongside Kiko Alonso. We need probably a corner, knowing that Carr's just back on a 1-year rental. So linebacker, corner, wide receiver. 2018 draft in real life for the Baltimore Ravens was quite a significant one, as yes, they went Hayden Hurst, which was not a great pick, but then they got Lamar Jackson trading up with my Philadelphia Eagles. They then got Orlando Brown. Mark Andrews was in this class. Deshaun Elliott was in this class. Bradley Bozeman. They got Zach Seiler, who's gone on and been a very good player for the Miami Dolphins in real life. It was an outstanding class for the Ravens. We have different needs than they do, but we got to try and live up to that standard. At least we have a decently high pick this year. Mock draft, we got Roquan. That'd be cool to bring him in, but it's a little bit out of our price range. We are not repeating history and getting in Hayden freaking Hurst. But this mock draft holds true. Like Leighton Vander Esch could be interesting. Carlton Davis, Colton Miller on the offensive line. Where's the wide receivers at? Cortland Sutton. You got Derwin James, Minka. I mean, there's gotta be some fellas. I do think it is kind of cool though. We've done the entirety of the Joe Flacco era, and we're just beginning the Lamar Jackson era of the Baltimore Ravens with JaMarcus Russell being our quarterback that entire time. Roquan Smith just went out the board to the Philadelphia Eagles. We need wide receiver help. Cortland Sutton is there. If we decide to wait, and we're looking for a wide receiver too, not great. Like, honestly, we might have to consider Cortland Sutton here, which is not a bad pick at all. Other needs, corner, Carlton Davis. But if we don't go Carlton Davis, there's a chance that like a Dante Jackson could be there in the second round. J.C. Jackson probably has a decent rating. And what do we have middle linebacker? Roquan Smith, there we go. We have Leighton Vander Esch, Tremaine Edmonds. Both very nice selections. But I think above all, we need a wide receiver too. Letting Jarvis Landry walk. So we are going to select out of SMU. Player that's been a very, very nice player for the Denver Broncos. Cortland Sutton, number 47 in true value, an absolute reach. But he's a depth trait wide receiver that's going to be put in a tremendous position to make a lot of plays. Second round, we'll grab Josie Jewell at linebacker. Whoa! As you can see, the jumping. This is 2018 class onward. I've yet to go in and kind of smooth things over, if you will. Because Jewell needs to be a better player than that. He's a damn fine starting linebacker in the NFL. So Cortland Sutton was a hit, 72 with a dev trait. Rest of the class, I mean, we got Naheem Hines, who's a good role player. Shaquem Griffin, awesome story, if you will. Teron Johnson's had a really nice career for the Buffalo Bills as a corner. So we got some solid people, really Jewel kind of being glitch bugged, whatever you want to say. Hurts the class overall, but we got ourselves a wide receiver too. At minimum, that's what we needed to leave this draft with. It's going to be interesting to see here in year 12 how this team responds off the back of a 7-10 season. The first year in this whole rebuild, we have failed to make the playoffs. We still have immense star power, but the argument certainly could be made that is the addition of Cortland Sutton, is that the missing piece? Was that enough to tilt the tides, or is there, this is just what this team is right now. It's going to be a competitive team, but maybe not a team that's going to be a front runner. As you look at our defense, lacking a little bit. The miss on Josie Jewell in the second round, definitely feeling the sting of that a little bit. But ultimately, we have more than enough talent to be a lot better than 7-10. Well, shit, that'll do it. 6-1 with a number 2 offense, number 3 defense in the NFL. And we have been smoking teams for the most part. Side of the Commanders. And I don't be shocked if the wheels completely fall off. Like, we should be able to maintain this and be a serious contender this season. Now, our salary cap is tight-ish. We'll see in a second. Because, we want to keep Darren Waller. Very high ceiling. 5 years, $74 million locked in. We have Earl Thomas. Don't really have a replacement in. 4 years is a little longer than expected, but superstar. Even if he regresses down to a star, he'll be high 80s for most of that contract. I think we can live with that. Zadarius Smith is emerging as a starter / successor on that defensive front. But as you can see, the money has just dried up. And between Brandon Williams, Brandon Carr, we have a veteran in Jeremy Zuto who's been here for a minute. Haloti Ngata. It's just the end of the road. Maybe we get Costanza for another 3 years? Hell yeah. But now we have no money. And off the back last season, year 11 of our worst record, our worst season, 7-10. We post our best season here in year 12, the 2018 regular season, 13-4. Number 3 offense, number 2 defense, another AFC North championship. I looked at this like, Melvin Gordon leading rusher as far as yards. Percy Harvin, blocked by the webcam, second in receiving yards. Tied for first in touchdowns. And then JaMarcus Russell, 52 passing touchdowns. So only 4 interceptions. Absolutely insane, dude. He also had 3 rushes. So he had 55 total on the year. He might got the MVP. Percy Harvin, incredible. Cortland Sutton, maybe he was the missing piece. Almost 900 yards, 16 touchdowns for the rookie. Darren Waller was solid as well. Defensively, Kiko Alonso continues to just be a valuable player for us. 13.5 sacks, Justin Houston. 12.5, Zadarius Smith. 9 from Haloti Ngata. In what will be his final year, we will look at his career stats. He's been in for a minute. Earl Thomas leads the team with 5 picks. Finally, it's not a linebacker leading our team in interceptions. There's no way! Not him! What? 55 touchdowns. What the hell did Joe Flacco do? 48. 57. It is insane that in this rebuild, with the context of the storyline of setting it up, that they go JaMarcus Russell over Joe Flacco, that Joe Flacco becomes GOAT. That is nuts. So Percy Harvin ends up winning Offensive Player of the Year and Wide Receiver of the Year. We get Cortland Sutton, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Quarterback of the Year to JaMarcus Russell, but still no MVP. And this might have been his last shot. First round of the playoffs against a rival in the Cleveland Browns, who have the number 3 passing offense in the NFL. Helps they got Amari Cooper, who's an absolute stud. Why is this so hard, dude? We've won a Super Bowl. It's not like this team's cursed. It's not like our scheme doesn't work. An overtime loss. And JaMarcus Russell did not help the cause with 2 turnovers. And Matt Ryan played a clean game on the other side. So as we say goodbye to Brandon Carr and Haloti Ngata, Brandon Carr finishes his Baltimore Ravens career over 800 tackles and 15 picks. Haloti Ngata, 600 tackles, 158 TFLs, and 126 sacks. Both. No. Brandon Carr did win Corner of the Year. So you can make the argument, franchise legends. At least we don't have to see Haloti Ngata play for another team. He retires a Baltimore Raven after 13 seasons here. We're at that point in the rebuild where most touchdowns he's ever had, and he loses his dev trait, and he has another 32 points of regression, even though he was quarterback of the year, passer rating leader. 99 throw power, that ain't going nowhere, okay? He's never losing that. But I have a gut feeling maybe we have one more year left of JaMarcus before he retires. So, one last chance to see if we can go on top. MVP, Super Bowl. Might get a couple. He could play. I've seen quarterbacks play to the 37, 38, 40. We'll see. Look curious. Like something like I think I should start doing in these 20-year flashback where we recreate the NFL. We always look at like team records, NFL records. But like, what about everybody that's been playing? And how does it stack up? Like JaMarcus Russell came at the same time. You got Cutler, Vince Young were a year earlier, so they have more yards than him. So does Alex Smith. So does Aaron Rodgers. Michael Vick's in year freaking 18. Michael Vick almost always becomes the GOAT with this roster. But as far, I mean, you know, he's right there. Vince Young had a career revival. Jay Cutler's up there. Brady Quinn, Tim Tebow. All these guys have had really nice careers. So shout out to Joe Flacco. I actually wonder for receiving too, where Percy Harvin's at. Right now, Crabtree's number 1, Stevie Johnson number 2, Julian Edelman number 3, and Percy Harvin numero 4. Going into the draft, center would be a need defensively, off-ball linebacker, and corner. Definitely want to be aggressive in corner. Even with Teron Johnson there, we need someone for sure that can play start on the outside, which that's going to be tough to find that guy late in the draft. So at pick number 24, we're absolutely not going Daniel Jones. We do have Garrett Bradbury at center, which that could work. DK Metcalf, we want to just say screw it and go and get even more at wide receiver. DK is certainly there, but we need a center. We can wait. I mean, I'd be fine with Jenkins or McCoy if they're still there in the second round. Lindstrom at guard's absolute stud. What do we got for like a linebacker? Like a traditional. We got Tavai, Jermaine Pratt, Okereke. Interesting. I mean, Bradbury stud, a run block. Combine is elite. I mean, we need a center. Ends up being pretty damn good pick. Now, we do need a third wide receiver, and might have missed on DK Metcalf, but A.J. Brown is right here. I'm going to be honest. A.J. Brown is stylistically, he's a Baltimore Raven. Perfect fit. Let's go. A little low on the speed, though. 84. What are we doing? Crowd loves it. Draft recap, end up. Pretty solid draft. Bradbury, 74 dev trade. A.J. Brown, 73 dev trade. Get Ben Powers, who was a really nice pick for the Ravens. Kind of underrated in this class. Rodney Anderson with a 70. Cole Holcomb. Tyree Jackson. He's been on the channel before. But not going to get a lot better than those top 2 picks, especially for our team needs on the offensive side of the ball. Bengals were terrible, and they earned themselves 83 overall Quinnen Williams. This team is bipolar. 2-4. 30th in passing yards. Nothing has changed, dude. The exact same scheme, the exact same players, and we are first to worst. Now we're in a spot where we have like no money. $39 million is not a lot. Asamoah starter, can't really afford. Tavon Young starter, can't afford. Judon starter, that's pricey. Casey Hayward, that's a little pricey. Melvin Gordon, Joe Tooney. I mean, Justin Houston has to get paid out of everybody. 2 years, 65, done. Now we have literally $0 to sign anybody else. And we're 2-4. Year 13 for JaMarcus Russell goes 6-11. Oh my! I mean, we look at that though. We still Melvin Gordon, second leading rusher. He's by the free agency. Percy Harvin, ageless wonder. 41 touchdowns. JaMarcus Russell. Now the interceptions are starting to creep up a little bit. Percy Harvin was down. Sutton was nice. Definitely wanted to get Darren Waller and AJ Brown a little bit more involved. Kiko Alonso's numbers are good. Justin Houston's numbers are good, but we have 0 pass rush outside of that. Who would have thought old man Haloti Nata was holding this whole thing together on the defense? Do we have award winners on it down here? Percy Harvin wins wide receiver of the year and offensive player of the year, with Justin Houston winning linebacker of the year. JaMarcus Russell closes out very close to 50,000 total passing yards. So if we return next season, we will be able to likely not only hit that, but hit 500 total touchdowns. And if we could finish his career, be it however many years are left, under 100 total picks, that'd be freaking insane. We didn't get any increase to our second. We're actually in the red right now, $12 million. And they're massacred our boy again. Down to a start of 82 overall. Another 11 points of regression. Still got the cannon. But it almost needs to be mercy rule. Right? If it keeps going bad, man, like, he might, if he wants to play till he's 40, we're gonna do the right thing. We're not gonna let him play past his expiration date. I'm thinking at the most we got 2 more years left of JaMarcus. I'm not gonna have him and pad his stats as like a 72 starter. 82, believable. But if he regresses another 5 points into like the high 70s, okay, that could still work. But low 70s, if he's still trying to play bad, come on, you gotta manage your money a little bit better than that, going on a high note. Good news, salary cap did go up a little bit. Didn't have to sign anyone, but we lost all that talent. We have $23 million remaining. That really isn't enough to aggressively hit free agency either. It just gives us a little bit of breathing room for, next season, in-season extensions, stuff like that. Still pretty good that we made it really 13 seasons before it was like, oh, let's watch our good players leave because I can't afford to keep them. So Melvin Gordon goes to the Jags. Joe Tooney goes to the Raiders. Casey Hayward goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You bastard, going in the division. It is 2020 NFL draft time. We need to have an all-time draft. We need a running back, a guard, 2 guards. Running back, 2 guards. We need a corner 1, corner 2, linebacker 1. Good luck to myself. Now, in real life for the Baltimore Ravens, decent draft. They got Patrick Queen in the first round, J.K. Dobbins in the second, Matabuike in the third, Devin Duvernay in the third, Malik Harrison has been a decent starter. Geno Stone was a 7th round pick, so lots of value for Baltimore in this one. How the mock draft is kind of playing itself out. Well, we suck, so that helps a little bit. Is that the sign? Like, do we take that pick? I feel like, personally, I got to put my foot down. I got to veto that. We still got at least one more good year of JaMarcus. We need talent that can help us here. We're not going to Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love him. And even then, that was at least like end of the first round. You don't get a top 10 pick and bail on your quarterback. Okay? But this is a sign that we are pretty much at the end of the line here. So the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. I mean, if we can get to a scenario where J.K. Dobbins is around in the second round like he was in real life, strongly could consider that. We need guards, but you're not going guard in the first round with as many, issues that we currently have. Looking on the defense, really want to go BPA. Derek Brown would certainly be BPA in this scenario. I haven't modified this class, so that's not quite the Eagles' Zach Bond. You got Queen still on the board. Brooks is there. In the secondary, you got A.J. Terrell at corner. Interesting. Those are probably the two. A.J. Terrell or Derek Brown. What would arguably be the bigger need? More impactful day one starter. I would like to announce at pick 7 in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select A.J. Terrell, corner out of Clemson. What? Again, I don't know what the proper word is, furnished these classes yet. I've only got up to 2017, but that is disrespectful. We got robbed. All right, luckily, injuries are turned off in the scenario. In the second round, we're going to select a running back that the Baltimore Ravens actually did select, and number 18 in true value for J.K. Dobbins with a dev trade. Maybe we should have went Justin Herbert in the first. I mean, Terrell, at least he's still 71 normal. J.K. Dobbins, 76 with a dev trade, able to land Malik Harrison and Geno Stone as well to make a pretty decent draft class. Good enough to get us to bounce back off a 6-11 season? I don't know, but we did the best with what we had. The Bengals just love getting the first overall pick, huh? And what is, the end of an era? Be it this year, next year, maybe 3. I wrote down in my notes here, I got up to 3 more years. That was like wishful thinking when I first started this whole video. Like, maybe we can get 16 years with JaMarcus Russell. But year 14 for JaMarcus, got some help around him still. I mean, the combo with him and Percy Harvin has been deadly in the NFL. It's one last hurrah, and we're going to have to see him put on a vintage performance. Multiple games of 4 or 5 touchdowns. We need another 50-plus touchdown season, I think, for JaMarcus to drag this roster that is not that great, pretty average, on another playoff run. And it's not looking great. We are 3-4 on a 3-game lose streak going into the midway point of year 14, the 2012 regular season. Not only that, but JaMarcus Russell's getting your classic, I'm going to probably retire in the cap space where he's way down like at the end. But we're tied to him to the very end. So even if he wants to just come back for 1 year at a time, just pad his stats. I feel like he still would have one more decent year as a starter in him. We got Hendrickson. Don't have a whole lot at pass rush. We want to try to keep him in the building. Jefferson at safety probably could move on there. That is way too much for a veteran tackle. So we will have a little bit of wiggle room. And I think we will make sure that we bring back Trey Hendrickson as well. So when you do a series like this that you are focusing kind of on a player that's telling the story, which is the career resurgence revival of JaMarcus Russell, there's likely, when you're following an entire career, never going to be a happy ending. Players just play until they regress, until they're no good no more. So the last 2 years, year 12, year 13, just because once he gets 34, there's a chance to retire, I just save at the end of the regular season, and then I sim ahead for JaMarcus Russell because he's a focused player. And then if he retires, you want to be able to at least like appreciate all the stats and everything we've accomplished here. Because as soon as they're retired, because of Madden and franchise mode, they just like erase, I guess, like their player card that has all their stats. JaMarcus retires at the end of this year. 14 years in the NFL, 7 years old, I think. And it didn't work out well. We 8-9, struggled 2 back-to-back years of missing out on the playoffs. He's playing well still, 41 touchdowns, 9 picks. He can leave with his hell to hell high. Percy Harvin continues to still play well at a high level at an old age. Sutton really has emerged as our wide receiver 1. Defensively, James Houston has been very, very good and consistent throughout this rebuild. Teron Johnson with 6 picks. Excited to see what he would have been able to do. We have 4 award winners. I mean, like, you know, he's still on the short list. He can still hang. And I maybe honestly appreciate him kind of going out on top a little bit. Teron Johnson gets DB of the year. But for JaMarcus Russell, he ends his career as it relates to the Ravens a couple years early. Took the all-time records for pass yards, for passing touchdowns. We got Percy Harvin, his main partner in crime. Big-time numbers as that compares. 52,000 yards, 518 touchdowns, and under 100 total interceptions. How that stacks up for the rest of the quarterbacks of this time. Freaking Joe Flacco, man. That is so annoying. I mean, for a year, tied. Pretty much similar records. I mean, now Flacco has 10,000 more yards passing, but JaMarcus Russell redshirted that first year. So it wasn't really, like, they've really played the same amount of time and have, similar touchdown interceptions is kind of funny. Percy Harvin, just out of interest, because he's been there, look at that, 17,000 yards, 211. Stevie Johnson, I assume that's Stevie Johnson, like the Stevie Johnson from the Buffalo Bills. I imagine he did a lot of that with Joe Flacco on the Bills. Michael Crabtree was insane. Got Dez Bryant and Antonio Brown up there. But the man of the rebuild, the career revival, JaMarcus Russell, goes off with his head held high. No longer an NFL bust. No longer the biggest bust in NFL history. We started this video asking the question, what if JaMarcus Russell landed in a better environment, had a better coach, had better structure? Then could he put it all together? Could he live up to the potential of his undeniable talents and traits as a 6'5", 265 generational arm quarterback? And we were able to answer that question. Now, I don't want the start of this video, the little cut-ups and stuff, to be like, oh, you're making excuses for him. Clearly he had his own issues. Substance abuse issues, mentally, maybe never ever checked it. Some guys just don't love football. I can speak on that. I played football for 1 year. Now, I only did that because my high school only had football my senior year. That was the first year of the year in the program. I was good at football. I did not like football, honestly, playing it. Like, I played a running back. Running back's probably the least fun position. Your job at practice is like, just get hit all the time. I think if I could do it in hindsight all over again, I'd play something different. But like, I generally was like, man, I don't know if I want to go to college and play like I'm hurt all the time. Like, I'm just like constantly, my forearms were like bruised to shit. Quads are always beat up. You got people like constantly just falling on your ankles. Your ankles are always taped up. Like, it was not fun. So I personally, from my limited experience as a football player, would understand someone like this. If you just don't love it, it's not going to work out, especially when you have the pressure of being a number 1 overall pick. But ultimately, for JaMarcus Russell, it's the case study of it's all about where you go. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that now in particular. When we see all these quarterbacks coming in and you see all these other different players, these hyped up players, there's a consensus tagline of it's important where they end up going. And I feel like that was paramount with someone like JaMarcus Russell, with his character concerns, with his development as a quarterback. And he went to an absolute shit show of an environment. Al Davis-led Raiders. They constantly just kept tanking the drafts and not bringing the surrounding talent that could elevate JaMarcus Russell's game. He never had a good coach. He never had that mentor on his roster. And we were at least able to say, you know what? What if he did go to the Ravens, who were interested in a quarterback at the time, had that mentor on the roster with Steve McNair, had the leaders of Ray Lewis, Trevor Price, Ed Reed. At this time, this was like, you know, we did kind of fudge the head coach a little bit. Harbaugh was the head coach like 2 years out. I think they had Brian Billick at that time. But if they eventually went on with Harbaugh, you know, a coach like that, a great players coach, by all accounts, an absolute beauty that all his players love for him, and he gets the most out of his guys. What if someone like JaMarcus Russell ended up in that environment, and we got to kind of answer that what if here today through the power of a modded Madden 25 franchise mode. So I hope you guys did enjoy this little kind of spin-off of our regular 20-year rebuilds with a career revival. And if this is something you guys would love to see more of, love to hit like 1,000 likes, but just like the video, help the video out in the old YouTube algorithm with them robots. Let me know in the comment section below not only what player you want to see, but maybe it can help you out a little bit with the storyline. What team would have been a great alternative universe for some of these known busts that we have seen of years past? I have draft classes all the way from 2003. You know, we could probably even do like recent ones and then just go into the future really if we wanted to. So no real player is off limit. No bust is off limits. And if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comment section below what you want to see. But that'll do for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace. I love ya. Have a good one.